Chapter 128. Tang Ao returned to the Chisha clan first and handed over the bodies and monster Dawn to the referee elder for inspection. Then, he went back to his own courtyard to cultivate. Tang Ao, there's a letter from home. A disciple handed over a silk letter. The letter was sealed with green mud and stamped with 2 big seal characters, green stone. Tang Ao was excited. He had been away for many days, and a letter from home was the greatest comfort to his lonely heart. At first, when he read the letter, Tang Ao smiled and his eyes showed his longing for home. But when he saw that his father was still missing and his body had not been found, his smile gradually froze and his face suddenly became gloomy. When he saw that Qin Yueshuang was engaged to the heir of a clan of the ancients named Xiahou Linyuan, his face became even uglier and his eyes were filled with hatred. There's actually someone who wants that broken shoe. She is just a Ziwei Dao form of destiny. If my hidden jade and stone is fully awakened, I can completely crush her. Tang Ao was very disdainful. A clan of the ancients? What kind of force is that? I should investigate it when I have the chance. Those who could be chosen by Qin Yueshuang must be stronger than Qin Yueshuang in both talent and family background. In other words, Tang Ao had one more enemy. Tang Ao immediately went to the Pavilion of Martial Arts to find Fuyang and ask about Xiahou Linyuan from the Clan of the Ancients. The Clan of the Ancients is a big family in the East Domain. It is said that such a family has existed since ancient times and has survived to this day. You can imagine how rich the family is. As for Xiahou Linyuan, it is said that he is the heir of the family in the future. He is talented and has outstanding cultivation. His strength is unfathomable. Fuyang briefly introduced the situation of the Clan of the Ancients and Xiahou Linyuan to Tang Ao. Why do you ask? Did you offend the Clan of the Ancients? To be honest, senior brother, Xiahou Linyuan's fiancée was once engaged to me, but I dismissed her. Now that I heard that she and Xiahou Linyuan are engaged again, I want to know more about it. Tang Ao simply told his story to Fuyang, deliberately ignoring the fact that he was tricked by Qin Yueshuang. I won't meddle too much in your own affairs. After the hunting meet ends, you have to make the best use of your time to cultivate. The inner court examination will be held in 3 months. It's said that the top few in this examination will be sent to the vast 1,000 domains to compete with the other disciples of the Eastern Domain for the inheritance of an ancient treasure. Fuyang persuaded. Boundless world? Ancient treasure? Tang Ao was stunned. Based on his memories from his past life, he knew that there were millions of life souls in the vast 1,000 domains. He had also heard of the appearance of a hidden treasure, but no one had actually seen it, so he didn't pay much attention to it. In this life, he had once again heard about the legend of a hidden treasure in the vast 1,000 domains, and it sounded so sure that it had even caused other sects to compete for it. This really shocked Tang Ao. Then, senior brother, I'll take my leave first. Tang Ao deeply respected this senior brother who had once saved his life. He cupped his fists and bowed, then returned to his own courtyard to cultivate. Right now, I have to improve my strength as soon as possible for the inner court examination. Tang Ao made up his mind and immediately sat cross-legged. He slowed down his breathing, opened his pores, and activated the Ancient God Moves the Heavens. The hazy outline of the gas in his dantian became more obvious, like a human shape. Sure enough, the outline of the hidden jade body in stone has become clearer as my cultivation level has increased. However, it will still take a long time for it to completely grow. Tang Ao used his divine sense to check the situation in his dantian. The dantian has grown a bit stronger. When the time comes, I'll break through the first level and find a few more lives to improve myself. At that moment, Tang Ao suddenly activated his primordial qi, and the spiritual qi in the vicinity of the courtyard was completely absorbed by Tang Ao. Among the 365 acupuncture points in his body, a few big acupuncture points gradually lit up. After the primordial qi gathered, it transformed into a koi fish that swam into his dantian. Behind the fish's tail, a silver-white primordial qi belt established a connection between the heaven-moving meridian diagram and the few big acupuncture points. The heaven-moving meridian diagram can increase my strength by 5,000 pounds. The hidden jade body in stone stimulates the potential of my body and increases my strength by another 10,000 pounds. The effect of the world overlord axe soul increases my strength by another 10,000 pounds. In addition to the original 20,000 pounds of the first level of the origin martial realm, which is the power of 1 yuan. With nearly 50,000 pounds of strength, it's not a problem to deal with a third level of the origin martial realm like Duan Batian. The spear force is still half a step away from the mastery realm. If I step into the mastery realm, I dare to fight with a fourth or even a fifth level of the origin martial realm. Without saying anything else, Tang Ao began to comprehend the mastery spear force. Originally, in the primitive forest, Tang Ao's battle with the dragon lizard had already reached the mastery realm. Now, he only needed to take that step and he could step into the mastery realm. Tang Ao's closed-door training lasted for more than 10 days. The hunting meet ended, and Tang Ao actually got the 4th place. A disciple sent over 1,000 contribution points as a reward. Tang Ao continued to cultivate and did not even pay attention to that disciple. Like this. Look at the void, follow the flow. I understand, ha. Tang Ao looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Following that, the 100 battle spear soul condensed in his hand. However, the aura of the entire spear had quietly changed. It was no longer so sharp and domineering. It seemed more mellow and the aura was more restrained. Chi La. Tang Ao casually stabbed out with his spear. It actually cut through the air, and in that instant a fierce aura exploded. It was like an awakened primordial beast, blasting a big hole in the wall. Fortunately, I did not use essence qi. Otherwise, I would have no place to stay. Tang Ao was first surprised by his plain spear strike, and then he was happy that his strength had increased. Mastery spear force. It was done. The more strength he had, the more ability he had to protect himself. Tang Ao did not want to ask for anything. He only wanted to live a simple life. However, the world was unpredictable, and it was too much. He could only continue to become stronger and hold his fate in his own hands. Only then could he live the life he wanted. I have finished practicing the mastery spear force. I need to familiarize myself with the ice crystal sword and ancient spirit finger. If I can cultivate another mastery life soul, I won't be invincible among my peers. At least I will have the ability to protect myself when I encounter a high-level opponent. Tang Ao made up his mind. He closed his eyes again and immersed himself in cultivation. In another manner, Xiao Gudao was looking at a silk letter. He was in a daze for a long time. He looked hesitant and reluctant. Xiao Gudao was the second young master of the Xiao family in the eastern region. He was talented and had an extraordinary physique. Therefore, he was sent to the 7-Kill sect to cultivate at a young age. It seemed like the family valued him, but they were afraid that Xiao Gudao would be too smart and compete with the eldest for the position of family head. Therefore, they sent him far away from the family. Because of this, Xiao Gudao had always been indignant and furious. Chapter 129. What a great temptation this was! The future of a clan was in his hands, and all he needed to do was to keep an eye on Tang Ao. On the other hand, Fuyang had asked Xiao Gudao to take good care of Tang Ao because Fuyang trusted him. His future, his brotherhood, either of these two paths would hurt his interests, so Xiao Gudao had to think twice. Senior brother Xiao, do you still need to think about it? If you can't do it, I'll do it for you. I've long wanted to kill that brat Tang Ao, Duan Batian said as he covered his swollen face. His eyes were burning with anger. No. Don't act rashly. We don't know about Tang Ao's background, and I'm not sure about the clan of the Ancients' determination to support me. When both sides are a bit blurry, you need to walk more and see more. Xiao Gudao took back the silk scroll and answered unhurriedly. Then what should we do? That brat beat me up like this. I'm a third heaven martial artist, but he treated me like this. Moreover, he insulted you, senior brother Xiao. Duan Batian was unwilling to give up and relayed Tang Ao's words in the primeval forest. That's too much. Xiao Gudao slammed his palm on the stone table, leaving a clear palm print. As soon as he took it off, the stone table immediately turned into powder. Duan Batian was stunned, but he quickly struck while the iron was hot. Think about it, senior brother Xiao. A disciple who just entered the inner court not long ago dares to openly challenge the authority of a veteran inner court disciple. What will happen to our dignity? How are we going to guide the outer court disciples in the future? If all the new disciples are like him, then we won't have the final say in the inner court anymore. Stupid. You're the one who offended Tang Ao and lost to him twice, but now you're trying to lure me out? Humph. Do you want to lie in bed forever? Xiao Gudao raised an eyebrow. His killing intent was obvious as he glared at Duan Batian, causing him to tremble. Xiao Gudao was at the 5th level of the origin martial realm. The number of fate spirits he had was unknown, but it was estimated that he had 8. Ranked 40th on the Dragon and Phoenix rankings, Xiao Clan's second young master. He was sly and cunning. Tang Ao fell into deep thought as he looked at the information that he had exchanged for 100 contribution points. 8 inner sect life souls. Although I can fight with the greater success spear force, it's still a little tricky to deal with. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If Xiao Gudao is still the same as before, I won't bother with him. If you insist on going about things the wrong way, Humph, I really want to know what kind of strength a cultivator of the 5th celestial layer has. Tang Ao clenched his fists, his vigorous fighting spirit overflowing. The most important thing now is to increase my strength. I've already made some progress with the Azure Lotus Sword Soul. If I cultivate for a few more days, I'm sure I won't be far from the greater success force. After setting his goal, Tang Ao once again fell into cultivation. Xiao Gudao pondered for a long time before letting out a long sigh. If he wants to rebel, so be it. Compared to the family, Fuyang is nothing. Duan Batian smiled from ear to ear. That's right. If senior brother Xiao makes a move, that Tang Ao will be completely subdued. Xiao Gudao lightly smiled. Although he gave off a warm feeling, his heart was extremely dark and valued profit over righteousness. Keep a close eye on him. If there's any movement, immediately report to me. If he goes out, immediately report to me. I'll go meet him. Duan Batian led his 2 lackeys with a face full of anticipation and excitement. Yes, senior brother Xiao. They really wanted to see how the tragedy that happened to them would be repaid to Tang Ao. Immediately, Tang Ao's soul went straight to the 9th celestial layer, the place where he awakened the Azure Lotus Sword Soul, and began to comprehend the indestructible sword intent of the Azure Lotus Sword Soul. In his dantian, thousands of silver threads emerged from the hazy chi mass of the concealed jade body in the stone and coiled around the water droplet-shaped inner core. Then, through the meridians of various sizes, they connected to the 365 major acupoints in his body. Immediately, Tang Ao felt refreshed. His ears and eyes were sharp. When he saw some simple things, he could instantly draw inferences about other things and connect them to the past and present. So there's such an effect. Then, it'll definitely be twice the result with half the effort. Without saying anything, his soul immediately sat cross-legged in the 9th celestial layer, guided the Azure Lotus Sword Soul, and began to comprehend. The so-called complete focus was probably the same as what Tang Ao was doing right now. entering into a state where his intelligence was growing and his thoughts and consciousness were beyond what he had ever been in the past. His sword force cultivation had been soaring. It had surpassed the initial realm and directly reached the half-step sword force. It was only one step away from the advanced realm of sword force. However, it was this one step that made Tang Ao's 100-battle spear soul fall into the half-step spear force. It had been stuck for a long time. This time, the half-step sword force was probably about the same as the spear force. After many days of comprehension, Tang Ao's origin martial realm cultivation had gradually reached the advanced realm. Tang Ao had already started to touch the second level of the ancient god moving the heavens. Generally speaking, after coming back from the primordial forest, Tang Ao's strength had risen to another level. It's time to come out. I'll find some materials and train the shooting sun arrow soul to the advanced realm. In the inner sect examination, as long as there are no monsters, I'm 90% sure I'll pass. Tang Ao suddenly felt full of confidence. He pushed open the courtyard door, took a deep breath of fresh air, and walked straight to the martial skill pavilion. Someone had already reported his whereabouts to Xiao Gudao. Interesting. Hiding in the house for so long, he was actually training. No matter how much he trains, he won't be my opponent. Xiao Gudao smiled, tidied up his clothes, and walked towards the martial skill pavilion. This is the crafting clan manual. Please help me with the procedures. Tang Ao placed a thread-bound ancient book in front of the martial skill pavilion's elder on the counter. Elder, please wait. I've also taken a fancy to this book. I'll give you double the contribution points, and you can rent this book to me. What do you think? Before seeing the person, he had already heard the voice. Tang Ao frowned. He was immediately displeased. This book was found by me first, so it should be temporarily rented by me. If you want to read it, you'll have to wait for a few days. Xiao Gudao strode up the stairs slowly and looked at Tang Ao in disdain. The martial skill pavilion's cultivation method is profound and cryptic. Even if I lend it to you for a year, you might not be able to read it. Instead of wasting time with you, why don't you lend it to me first and let me read it properly? After that, I'll lend it to this kid. Elder, what do you think? The elder was expressionless, without a trace of emotion. The books in the martial skill pavilion are first come, first served. Tang Ao was very satisfied with the elder's reply. He raised his eyebrows. Did you hear that? First come, first served. Get out of the way. At this moment, Tang Ao felt that this Xiao Gudao was purposely making things difficult for him, so he did not speak nicely to him. He had also hit Duan Batian. This trouble would come sooner or later. Xiao Gudao acted like a hoodlum and blocked the way downstairs. I must read your book today. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving the martial skill pavilion. Xiao Gudao, don't go too far. Tang Ao was infuriated and warned Xiao Gudao with a hoarse voice. Chapter 130. Tang Ao suppressed the anger in his heart. Do you dare to fight me on the Destiny platform? What? Did I hear it wrong? He, a first heaven, wants to challenge senior brother Xiao, who is a fifth heaven? He must be out of his mind. Duan Batian laughed mercilessly. You dare to challenge our senior brother Xiao, you must be tired of living. The old man must be tired of living after eating arsenic. Ha 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 ha. Faced with the merciless mockery, Tang Ao was determined and unmoved. Do you dare to fight? Xiao Gudao immediately put away his joking attitude and became serious. Let's fight. Why not? I want to let you know the difference between a trash and a genius. In the future, behave with your tail between your legs and don't be too arrogant. Tang Ao ignored Xiao Gudao and turned to walk towards the back of the mountain. Xiao Gudao followed closely behind. When they reached the back of the mountain, the disciples waiting in line instantly burst into an uproar. Isn't that the new kid from a few days ago? Why is he on the Destiny platform again? Isn't that senior brother Xiao? Did this young man offend Senior Brother Shao? Senior Brother Shao is ranked 40th on the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboard. TSK, young people are too arrogant, this new kid is finished. Fuyang hurried up the mountain and blocked Xiao Gudao, saying coldly, "Are you sure you want to do this? Then our agreement ends here." Xiao Gudao laughed and pointed at Fuyang. "Don't overestimate yourself, don't think that I can't do great things without you. Let me tell you, you can't protect this kid." Fuyang's simple and honest face instantly darkened and he said coldly, "Do you dare to fight me? Why not? But let me teach this kid a lesson first, then I'll take care of you." With that, he swung his sleeves and walked away, disdainfully looking at Fuyang with an extremely ugly expression. The two of them walked in front of the Judge Elder and signed their names on the life and death order. Destiny duel, life and death are decided by the heavens. Please come up to the stage. Xiao Gudao was the first to step onto the Destiny platform. He stood with his hands behind his back, his long hair and robes fluttering in the wind. He looked at Tang Ao as if he was looking at an ant. "All right. Do your best, Senior Brother Shao. Senior Brother Shao, beat that brat to death, beat him to death." Duan Batian and the other two hated Tang Ao so much that they gritted their teeth and clenched their fists as they cheered for Xiao Gudao at the top of their lungs. This brat dares to challenge Xiao Gudao. He is courageous. Given time, he will definitely achieve greatness. It's a pity that he was too reckless. Otherwise, our inner sect would have another genius. Him? He's just an idiot, a brainless thing. How can he be a genius? That's right. He dares to fight with Senior Brother Xiao Gudao. He's simply courting death. Among the spectating disciples, some mocked and ridiculed, while others sighed with pity. There were also those who didn't want to watch such a one-sided battle. On the Destiny platform, Xiao Gudao snickered. "Brat, you actually have the courage to challenge me. Fine, I'll let you die a quick death." Buzz! With a ripple, 5 fate souls appeared on top of Xiao Gudao's head. They shone with multicolored light. Adding on Xiao Gudao's elegant demeanor, the spectating disciples couldn't help but sigh in admiration. 5 fate souls. 2 are at the 8th layer, 2 are at the 10th layer, and 1 is at the 12th layer. Senior Brother Shao is indeed worthy of being on the Dragon and Phoenix rankings. Even the quality of his fate souls is of the highest quality. You probably don't know this. This is only half of Senior Brother Zhao's strength. Senior Brother Shao still hasn't used the other half of his fate souls. His fate souls haven't even been fully unleashed. Contempt. It's a blatant disdain. Xiao Gu had an expression of pity for the weak. Admit defeat now. Kneel down and kowtow 12 times in front of all these disciples, and I'll spare your dog life. Tang Ao spat out a mouthful of saliva and cursed. In your dreams. Tang Ao immediately summoned the 100 Battle Spear Soul, the 8 Treasure Goose Plume Saber Soul, and the Azure Lotus Sword Soul. The 3 Fate Souls turned corporeal and quietly floated above Tang Ao's head. Apart from the Azure Lotus Sword Soul, the Saber and Spear Souls were plain and rusty. Compared to Xiao Gudao, they were worlds apart. Xiao Gudao was a bit angry. He summoned 5 Fate Souls to give Tang Ao a chance to go all out. He didn't expect Tang Ao to only summon 3 Fate Souls. I gave you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Now go die. Xiao Gudao let out a loud roar, his legs exerting force as he leaped forward, shooting toward Tang Ao, leaving only a trail of afterimages in his path. 5 life souls whizzed over, emitting different kinds of pressure as they attacked Tang Ao. Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. He directly operated the sky-moving meridian diagram. The hazy mass of qi in his dantian suddenly surged violently. The 365 major acupoints in his body gradually emitted a hazy light, while the droplet-shaped inner core was spinning, constantly transforming the spiritual energy into Yuan Qi and sending it to every part of Tang Ao's body. Xiao Gudao's 2 fate souls entangled Tang Ao's goose feather sword soul and green lotus sword soul. The other 3 fate souls followed Xiao Gudao and Tang Ao's 100 battles spear soul and Tang Ao's real body. Tang Ao didn't dare to be careless. He took a step to the side to avoid the 3 fate souls. The 100 battles spear soul swung its hand. Unexpectedly, Tang Ao didn't push the 3 fate souls away. Instead, he was shaken away. Stabilizing his body, he secretly operated the Azure Dragon Nether Shadow Spear. A dark red dragon crawled on the tip of the 100 battles spear soul. The dragon's eyes opened angrily and roared at Xiao Gudao. Xiao Gudao shook his head and praised, "I didn't expect you to have practiced the Azure Dragon Nether Shadow Spear to the realm of manifestation. However, trash is trash after all." He looked at Tang Ao with contempt and controlled the 5 fate souls to attack again. Tang Ao's expression didn't change. The body of the spear shook and 9 spear flowers appeared. First, he took a step forward and instantly exploded with 30,000 pounds of strength. He picked up a 10th level fate soul. Then, the 3 invincible sword bodies of the green lotus sword soul grew in the wind from the stamen of the flower. Clang! The 3 sword bodies came out of the body. Under the control of Tang Ao's divine will, they forcibly resisted the other 3 fate souls. The 8 treasures goose feather sword was covered with a layer of silver frost. With the use of the silver frost tyrant sword, the temperature of the surrounding air plummeted. There were even ice crystals. The cold air spread out, making the surrounding disciples shiver. 2 rays of light burst out from Xiao Gudao's eyes. He picked up the remaining sword soul and slashed at Tang Ao. The surrounding air barrier was cut open like tofu. In an instant it was in front of Tang Ao. Tang Ao's Heaven's Eye art had already seen the trajectory of Xiao Gudao's attack. Unfortunately, it was too fast for him to dodge. Then, the 100 battles spear soul straightened its body, ready to take the attack head-on. "Don't take it!" Fuyang, who was below the stage, hurriedly shouted to remind Tang Ao. At this moment, the blade was already very close. Xiao Gudao's ferocious smile reflected in his eyes. The killing intent that burst out from the blade made Tang Ao's soul shiver. Bang! The blade and the spear clashed. Tang Ao's body was sent flying. He felt a sweetness in his throat and blood gushed out. Chapter 131. You're trying to shake a tree. Do you really think that an ant can withstand my power of the 5th level of the Origin Martial Realm? Don't think that you're invincible just because you've defeated someone at the 3rd level of the Origin Martial Realm. After he finished speaking, Xiao Gudao raised his blade and slashed again. There was not a single trace of primordial qi on the blade. It was pure physical strength that was oppressing Tang Ao. Damn it! The difference in strength is too big. The power of the 5th level of the Origin Martial Realm is 40,000 pounds more than my full strength. At that moment, Tang Ao no longer hesitated. When Xiao Gudao slashed with his blade, the aura of the 100 battles spear soul suddenly changed. The spear seemed to have fused with its surroundings. The trembling of the spear body, the trembling of the spear tip, and the swimming of the azure dragon on the spearhead were all so coordinated. Even the surrounding air let out bursts of rumbling sounds, as if it had found a soulmate. This is the boundless universe resonance, complete spear force. A disciple was so shocked that he couldn't speak. No wonder you dare to challenge the disciples on the Dragon and Phoenix rankings. So you've already achieved complete spear force. Insignificant skill. Xiao Gudao was truly enraged. With a thought, he once again summoned a life spirit of the 14th level of the Origin Martial Realm. 6 life spirits shone brightly above Xiao Gudao's head and rumbled with each other. With an explosive sound, Xiao Gudao controlled the 6 life spirits and attacked Tang Ao like an arrow released from a bow. Along the way there were many afterimages. The air barrier was constantly broken and the momentum was like a tsunami. Tang Ao suddenly felt a huge pressure in front of him. In his mind, Xiao Gudao's attack path appeared. Immediately after, he swept his spear horizontally and pushed the life spirit's attack path. He lightly pushed the life spirit away and returned it to attack Xiao Gudao. When the life spirit was a few inches away from Xiao Gudao coldly snorted. He tried his best to control the life spirit and attacked Tang Ao again. His true body was like a ghost, drifting erratically and rapidly approaching Tang Ao. Tang Ao leaped forward with his spear and stabbed at his face. To his surprise, the 6 life souls guarded Xiao Gudao tightly. Every stab was blocked by the life soul. Once the attack failed, the life souls would take advantage of the moment Tang Ao struck to attack the weakest spot in his defense. The 3 invincible sword bodies and the 8 treasure goose feather saber blocked the attack. Although they could only push the life spirits away due to their insufficient realm, they bought time for Tang Ao to return and defend. The power of controlling a life spirit with the divine sense was far inferior to personally controlling the life spirit. The 3 swords and 1 saber took the initiative to restrain Xiao Gudao's 4 life souls, and the 100 battle spear soul had the help of the dark red azure dragon. Xiao Gudao did not dare to be careless, so he led 2 life souls to fight it. The spear clashed, the dragon's sword and the dragon roared, the fist and palm clashed, the afterimages overlapped, the legs kicked each other, the dust flew up. All of a sudden, the life souls all performed their exclusive martial skills. Tang Ao's green lotus sword spirit's ice crystal sword, and the 8 treasure goose feather sabers silver frost tyrant saber. All of a sudden, the arena was filled with colorful lights. The life souls surrounded their respective bodies and flew back and forth, clashing with each other. Sparks flew everywhere and chi blades flew everywhere. The destiny stage was made from a huge piece of rock, and it could withstand a fatal attack from a Sea of Souls realm warrior. If it was a normal training field, it would have been flattened by the Yuan Qi clashing between the two, not to mention hundreds of attacks. There were more and more disciples watching from below the stage, squeezing into the crowd. The people who came later were still trying their best to squeeze forward, and the ones with higher cultivation even flew up to watch the battle. A cultivator at the 1st level of the Origin Realm fighting a cultivator at the 5th level of the Origin Realm. In a situation where Xiao Gudao has taken out his 6 fate spirits, they are equally matched. If this new disciple survives, his future will be limitless. A disciple with high cultivation praised Tang Ao. Duan Batian heard him and was immediately unhappy. He wanted to warn him, but when he saw that his opponent was on the Dragon and Phoenix lists, he let out a sigh of relief. However, he did not show mercy. Humph. So what? Senior brother Xiao still has 4 life souls that he hasn't used yet. If he uses them all, he can smash that brat Tang Ao to death. Future? Future is worrying. On the stage, Tang Ao and Xiao Gudao had already exchanged more than 100 moves. The two were evenly matched, and neither of them left any scars on the other's body. However, the two of them often clashed with their life souls, and their fists and feet clashed, making their arms numb. Tang Ao, on the other hand, became calmer. This battle has improved the compatibility between my life soul and martial skills. The warriors on the Dragon and Phoenix lists are indeed dragons and phoenixes among men. Xiao Gudao still has 4 life souls that have not appeared, and I still have 2. I'll have to be extra careful from now on, lest I run out of strength. Tang Ao wanted to rely on his special physique to slowly drag it out with Xiao Gudao. With the double support of the ancient god moving heavens technique and the invisible jade in stone body, Tang Ao was confident that he could grind Xiao Gudao to death because he did not summon many life souls. Xiao Gudao was secretly shocked. He had thought that he would be able to defeat Tang Ao in a few moves. Who would have thought that Tang Ao would not only not use his full strength, but he would also be able to fight to a draw with him. Controlling 6 life souls consumed a lot of his life chi. If he did not defeat Tang Ao quickly, he would probably be tortured to death by Tang Ao. At that moment, Xiao Gudao was a little anxious, and the momentum of his attacks became fiercer. However, Tang Ao used the phenomenal success spear force and the Heaven's Eye technique to neutralize Xiao Gudao's attack. Each time, it was as if he was hitting cotton, powerful but did not hit the ground. Damn it! Xiao Gudao cursed angrily. His thin and tall body suddenly trembled as he summoned another life soul to join the battle between Xiao Gudao and Tang Ao. 7 life souls. The pressure on Tang Ao immediately increased. The newly added life soul could take advantage of his 100 battle spear soul and the dark red azure dragon to attack and distract him. If he ignored them, it was inevitable that he would be injured. 7 life souls. 7 times combat strength. Thankfully, I had the ancient spirit finger to block that attack. If I were injured... Tang Ao shuddered when he thought of the consequences of being injured. Xiao Gudao seemed to see through the fear in Tang Ao's heart as he smiled sinisterly. Kid, you had a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Now die. The 7 life souls attacked at the same time. Xiao Gudao used his fists and legs to attack Tang Ao. Seeing that the situation was not good, Tang Ao hurriedly recalled the 3 invincible sword bodies and flew around him. The ice chains between the swords connected to form a defense. He held a saber in his left hand and a spear in his right. The green lotus 9-leaf leaf floated and rotated above his head. He circulated the iron steel sand, and a layer of black sand appeared all over his body, covering his body tightly. The entire defense was watertight. Bam! 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 7 sounds burst out one after another. Xiao Gudao's life soul flashed with the light condensed from primordial energy. It attacked Tang Ao repeatedly, but it was blocked by Tang Ao's defense. As Xiao Gudao closed in step by step, Tang Ao was bombarded by his life soul to the point where he had almost no strength to fight back. The huge force caused Tang Ao to slide backward. No. The attack is too strong. The 100 battle spear soul is suppressed by the life souls and can't be used. No, I have to fight. At that moment, Tang Ao controlled the 8 treasures goose plume saber soul with his divine will. With his right hand free, his fingertips flashed and primordial energy quickly condensed. He pointed at Xiao Gudao. Chapter 132. 1 finger to break 1,000 kilograms. When Tang Ao shot out his finger, Xiao Gudao's expression changed slightly. He retreated repeatedly to give himself room to defend. Then, he summoned an 8th Heaven Fate soul to block the attack in front of him. He was forced back more than 10 steps before he could withstand the attack. When he came back to his senses, the distance between the two of them had increased by more than 100 feet. Damn it! I was too careless. Xiao Gudao had originally wanted to force Tang Ao to the point where he couldn't fight back. Who would have thought that Tang Ao would have such a move? If it weren't for Xiao Gudao's amazing leg arts, it would have been unavoidable for his hand to bleed. You have completely infuriated me. If you can last the time it takes for an incense stick to burn under my full strength, I will spare you. Otherwise, today will be the day you die. Xiao Gudao's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Tang Ao like a tiger or a wolf. Then, 3 life souls appeared above his head. 10 life souls. The 10 weapons formed a circle and spun above Xiao Gudao's head. The life souls shone brightly and resonated with each other. Another 10 different colored primordial chi seeped out of Xiao Gudao's head and fused with the 10 life souls. The light emitted by the life souls was even more dazzling. The 10 secret manuals augmented the 10 life souls. This time, Tang Ao was not confident. This was a crushing defeat of his own strength. Martial nephew Xiao Gudao, do you mean what you said? If you can last the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, this battle will be over. If you don't, Tang Ao will pay with his life? asked the Destiny Platform's referee elder. He was not angry, but his voice was restrained, but it spread throughout the arena. Xiao Gudao did not want to fall out with Fuyang. If Fuyang flew into a rage and fought him, he would be courting death. Therefore, he gave the conditions. If Tang Ao did not meet the conditions, he would kill him. He believed that Fuyang would have nothing to say. A gentleman's word. Quick horse whip. After receiving an affirmative answer, the referee elder lit an incense stick and announced the start of the battle. Isn't senior brother Xiao making things difficult for himself? How muddle-headed. Not necessarily. Tang Ao only has 3 fate souls. Senior brother Xiao, who has 10 fate souls, is already going all out. I believe that senior brother Xiao will be able to defeat Tang Ao within the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Duan Batian sneered. Senior brother Xiao will definitely win. That Tang Ao is merely struggling at death's door. The time it takes for an incense stick to burn is enough for him to kill Tang Ao 100 times. Not good. Tang Ao's heart skipped a beat. The trajectory of Xiao Gudao's 10 life souls attacks appeared in his mind. There were almost no blind spots. Unless he burrowed into the ground, it would be difficult for him to escape. Buzz buzz. Tang Ao no longer hesitated. The void above his head fluctuated, and an axe and an arrow suddenly appeared above Tang Ao's head. Tang Ao abandoned his spear and picked up his axe, leaping with all his might. 60,000 kilograms of strength was infused into the world overlord axe soul, sending the life souls attacking from above flying with a swing of the axe. He then activated the mystic centipede kick and took a dozen steps in the air, striking at Xiao Gudao, who was controlling the 10 life souls. All of Xiao Gudao's life souls were mobilized, attacking Tang Ao from all directions. Seeing that Tang Ao had leaped into the air to break out of the encirclement, he quickly recalled one of his life souls. The other 9 followed Tang Ao, their life souls flickering. Tang Ao was not afraid at all. He dealt with it calmly and swung his axe, but it was blocked by the defending life soul. However, with his retreat blocked, Tang Ao could only move forward bravely. Ah! Break, break, break! Tang Ao roared and continuously swung his axe more than a dozen times. The force of the downward charge and his own strength added together reached a force of 70,000 kilograms. Xiao Gudao looked at Tang Ao, who was attacking with all his might in front of him, his eyes cold. Give up. 70,000 Jin is already your limit. Stop struggling bitterly. Kneel down and surrender, and I may spare your worthless life. Tang Ao suddenly revealed a playful smile. Xiao Gudao suddenly felt a chill down his back. He turned around and saw a golden arrow whistling toward him, only a few dozen inches away. The golden flames on the arrow spread, and wherever it passed, the air barrier automatically dissolved. There was no need to use brute force to break the wind. The surrounding temperature also gradually rose, burning Xiao Gudao, and a few strands of hair on his forehead instantly turned yellow. Despicable! Xiao Gudao could not help but curse. In front of him was Tang Ao, and behind him was the sun-shooting arrow soul that had taken a long way to sneak attack him. For a moment, Xiao Gudao was in a passive position. At that moment, Xiao Gudao suddenly exerted strength in his legs and shouted angrily, Tang Ao, you are 20 years too early to use strength to suppress me. Suddenly exerting strength in his arms, Xiao Gudao's thin arms suddenly bulged with muscles. He controlled a life soul to attack Tang Ao. Life souls were illusory. Not everyone could be like Tang Ao, who could turn illusory into reality. Power could not be transmitted through the life soul to the other party, and could only be controlled by the divine soul. The stronger the divine soul, the stronger the power. Xiao Gudao's life soul had at least 80,000 kilograms of strength, which was the power of 4 elemental forces. And his physical body had reached a terrifying 120,000 kilograms, which was the power of 6 elemental forces. His life soul bang. collided with Tang Ao's life soul. The difference of 10,000 kilograms made Tang Ao's hands numb, and he was in a trance. Xiao Gudao saw the opportunity and punched at Tang Ao's lower body. Xiao Gudao attacked angrily, and this time, he also had the power of 110,000 kilograms. Tang Ao's pupils shrank. The trajectory of the punch was clear in his mind. He twisted his waist lightly and dodged the punch. When another punch came, Tang Ao found the trajectory again and nimbly dodged it. The 9 life souls behind him whistled. Tang Ao had no choice but to jump into the air and distance himself from the life souls. From the beginning of the life souls' encirclement to the end, when Tang Ao took the opportunity to jump away, it all happened within a few dozen breaths. The surrounding disciples were dumbfounded. Oh my God! Is this guy really only at the first heaven? He actually managed to fool Xiao Gudao and even managed to avoid the 9 life souls' encirclement. If this continues, Tang Ao has a chance of lasting 5 minutes. Knowing the gap between him and Xiao Gudao, Tang Ao didn't engage in close combat with Xiao Gudao. He became as slippery as a loach. At the same time, he used his life soul to hold back Xiao Gudao's other life souls. The sun-shooting arrow soul constantly launched sneak attacks from behind, causing trouble for Xiao Gudao. After dozens of moves, Xiao Gudao was embarrassed and furious. He was clearly 4 firmaments stronger than Tang Ao, but his every attack was powerless. More than half of the incense stick had burned down, but he hadn't even touched the corner of Tang Ao's clothes since he had revealed 10 life souls. At that moment, Xiao Gudao had expended a lot of primordial energy controlling the 10 life souls. The primordial energy stored in the 10 life souls did not exceed 30 breaths. Damn it! If I don't settle this in 30 breaths, I might lose this duel. That would be the most embarrassing. I'm afraid I won't be able to suppress Duan Batian and the others. The outcome of his loss made Xiao Gudao shiver. He immediately roared at Tang Ao, "Tang, don't run if you have what it takes. Take 300 moves from me." Chapter 133. As he spoke, Tang Ao controlled the 8 treasures goose feather saber to block the incoming life spirit. He then jumped to the other half of the destiny platform and continued running. One was running, the other was chasing. The 2 of them started a game of cat and mouse on the stage, which made the audience speechless. He originally thought that with Xiao Gudao revealing 10 life souls and Tang Ao revealing 5 life souls, there would be an even more exciting battle than before. Who knew that it would be such a comedic outcome? TSK. Not simple. Avoiding the strong and attacking the weak, reserving strength to temporarily avoid the sharp edge. In this competition, the victory has already begun to lean towards Tang Ao's side. If Tang Ao doesn't die in this life and death gamble, his future will be limitless. At the very least, the one on the stage can't compare to him. Looks like there will be a good show to watch in this year's Dragon and Phoenix Rankings tournament. I hope those fellows can come back and suppress the situation. That would be interesting. Thump. The referee elder banged his clapper, and his ancient voice echoed throughout the entire Destiny platform. Time's up! The competition is over. According to the rules set by Xiao Gudao himself, Tang Ao will be the victor if he lasts for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. Well done. That's right. Good luck. Junior brother, you can do it. You have to train harder in the future. The surrounding disciples applauded, expressing their encouragement and appreciation. Among them, there were quite a few who were ranked on the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboard. If one could obtain their recognition, then one would not be far from being ranked on the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboards. Tang Ao respectfully returned the greeting, and even if he wasn't modest, he had to pretend to be modest. Thank you for your support, senior and junior brothers. I, Tang Ao, will surely work even harder and strive to ascend the Dragon and Phoenix rankings as soon as possible so that I can obtain good results in the inner court competition. Xiao Gudao was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He only returned to his courtyard with the help of Duan Batian and the others. Along the way, the disciples were pointing at him, mocking him instead of praising him. A level 5 martial artist was toyed around by a level 1 martial artist. Anyone would feel disgraced. Damn it! I was too careless. I should have dealt with that brat immediately. It was not the time limit of a joss stick. Alas! Xiao Gudao was extremely vexed, beating his chest and stamping his feet as he blamed himself. He had intended to embarrass Tang Ao, but who would have thought that he would help Tang Ao instead? After this battle, Tang Ao's name spread throughout the inner sect. Some of the older inner sect disciples who were in closed-door training began to take notice of Tang Ao. In all fairness, when they were in the first heaven, they did not have the courage and ability to cross 4 heavens to challenge. Furthermore, Tang Ao had grasped spear force to the phenomenal success stage. In the inner sect, the number of people who could cultivate a weapon life soul to the phenomenal success stage could be counted on one hand, and all of them were in the top 10 of the Dragon and Phoenix leaderboard. If Tang Ao's cultivation was 2 or 3 levels higher, he would definitely be able to suppress or even kill Xiao Gudao. Once a weapon life soul reached the phenomenal success stage, it could increase the power of the soul to control the life soul, forming a certain range around oneself. Unless it was a complete suppression, it would be lured by the general trend and deviate from its original attack trajectory, rendering the mission soul's attack ineffective. It was probably similar to a Rui-type defensive life soul, except that the Rui-type's defense was stronger. After returning to the manor, Tang Ao closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing, sorting out the losses and gains of this battle. Actually, Tang Ao was secretly rejoicing in his heart. If it wasn't for the fact that he had mastered the spear force and the Heaven's Eye art, which allowed him to make preparations to block in advance, he would have lost the battle a long time ago. He might even have lost his life on the platform. With the soul to control the sun-shooting arrow soul, the strength and speed are insufficient. I can't achieve the effect of catching the opponent off guard. I need to refine a large bow to better unleash my strength. Half-step sword force. After this battle, I'm still some distance from the phenomenal success stage. When I descend to the lower realm to find materials to refine, I'll cultivate it to the phenomenal success stage. At that time, with 2 phenomenal success stage life souls, I'm afraid that no one under the 5th heavenly layer will be my opponent. It's just that I haven't found a suitable secret manual for the world-conquering axe soul. When I descend to the lower realm, I'll go to the martial skill pavilion to exchange for a high-level axe technique martial skill. I'll practice while I travel. When I return, I'm afraid I'll be able to cultivate to the half-step axe force. After making his decision, Tang Ao immediately walked towards the martial skill pavilion. As usual, he met Fuyang on the upper floor of the martial skill pavilion. Tang Ao was just about to greet him when Fuyang scolded him in the face. "You little brat, you've grown up, aren't you? Do you think you're so great? Grasping the phenomenal success stage and daring to cross 4 levels to challenge Xiao Gudao? Who gave you the courage? Can't you use your brain when doing things? If Xiao Gudao didn't reserve his strength, or didn't make a bet of 1 incense stick, you'd be a corpse now. How could you even talk about entering the Dragon and Phoenix list and compete for the inner sect assessment? Don't you know what's important and what's not?" Tang Ao listened blankly, although he was scolded, but his heart was really warm. This kind of feeling was like an elder brother's strict love for him. After Fuyang finished scolding him, he calmed down a bit, cupped his fists with a smile and said, "Senior apprentice brother's words are correct. This junior understands." Seeing Tang Ao's attitude, Fuyang was both angry and amused, as he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Why did you come here to pick a martial skill? Can I help you take a look? My axe soul is still missing a martial skill, so I came here to take a look. You come with me, let's look around." Fuyang beckoned to Tang Ao, and the two of them walked side by side through the pile of martial skills to look for the axe-type secret manual. This splitting mountain axe technique is about the instantaneous eruption of strength. The axe can be fatal, and the strength can even split the mountains. Fuyang handed Tang Ao a brownish-yellow thread-bound ancient book. The cover of the book was crooked and twisted, with the words "Splitting Mountain Axe Technique" written in seal script. This is the 9 overlapping wave axe, which emphasizes the layering of strength. When the 9th axe is used, the strength is already several yuan's strength. Adding on the strength of one's own body, under this axe, even I can only retreat. This is Fuyang took Tang Ao to look through all the axe technique secret manuals here, and finally chose the 9 overlapping wave axe from the beginning. This time I came to the mortal world to look for materials to refine a big bow, and also to cultivate my own life spirit and martial skills. Time is of the essence, so I will take my leave. Tang Ao gave a bow to Fuyang and was ready to leave. If you want to refine artifacts, I have a suitable candidate. Go to the northwest, there is a village called Jade Hill. There is a master refiner. His name is famous in the eastern domain. You can go find him to help you. Fuyang pointed out a bright path for Tang Ao, so that Tang Ao could save a lot of effort. Thank you, senior apprentice brother. Tang Ao once again cupped his fists to express his thanks, and turned to leave. Packing his luggage, and bringing along the snoring Shao Kong, Tang Ao went down the 7 Kill Clans mountain, and ran straight to the northwest. Chapter 134. Tang Ao galloped all the way. His speed was several times faster than an ordinary yellow buckskin horse in the mortal world. He could only hear the wind whistling past his ears, trees, and cities. He couldn't even see the afterimages clearly. Wow! Senior brother Fuyang is really a scammer. They didn't tell me how far the northwest was, so I had to go down and ask them one by one. Walking out of a village called Changshun, Tang Ao could not help but mutter, I already said I don't know. Is Yuqiu village really far away? Without any hesitation, Tang Ao continued speeding northwest. After asking around, he finally found the specific location of Jade Hill village. Phew! We're finally here. Tang Ao looked at the tall fence in front of him. A huge sign hung directly above the gate, and 3 large words were written in ancient seal script. Jade Hill Village. Although it was called a village, it was almost the size of a small town. The road was wide and solid, and there were many shops on both sides of the main street. There were people and cars on the road. Tang Ao took a quick look around. The prosperity of Jade Hill Village had far exceeded Tang Ao's imagination. Even little Sky could not help but poke his head out and look around curiously. Let's go get something to eat, then we can slowly inquire about the whereabouts of that refiner? Tang Ao lowered his head and asked. Great, great. It's my favorite. Shao Kong twisted and turned in Tang Ao's arms excitedly. Seeing that there was a restaurant in front of him that was crowded with people, he walked in. Little fool. 4 meat dishes and 5 vegetables. The meat dishes have to be from beasts at the 5th tier of the body refining realm and above. The same goes for the vegetables. Tang Ao found a table and sat down. He called for the waiter to prepare the dishes. When the waiter heard the name of the dish Tang Ao mentioned, his face lit up, and he eagerly moved in front of Tang Ao. Sir, please wait for a moment, I'll go prepare it. What would you like to drink? 100 grams of dragon marrow and tiger bone wine. Tang Ao picked a table by the window and casually said. All right. Please wait a moment. The waiter ran off to prepare the dishes and wine. Wait. Tang Ao took out a piece of gold worth about 1 tael. I heard that you have a master refiner here. I want to inquire about him. The waiter replied with a cheeky smile. So you want to ask about Master Song Hudong? Speaking of Master Song, that's really... It turned out that this village was originally a small, rundown village. All the young and strong who could go out had left, leaving only a few old, weak women and children in the village struggling at death's door. Song Hudong happened to pass by. She couldn't bear to see such a tragic scene, so she gave alms to these poor people. Originally, Song Hudong just wanted to go on a sightseeing tour, comprehend the heaven and earth, and polish her artifact forging skills. It just so happened that this area was sheltered by mountains, surrounded by water and beautiful scenery, so she decided to settle down. As a master blacksmith, there would be people seeking him no matter where he went, not to mention that he had settled down here. Naturally, there would be an endless stream of visitors. With more people, the village gradually developed and prospered. The waiters spoke with exultation, spittle flying everywhere. You really asked the right person. Master Song lives next door to my house. The old man likes peace and quiet, and doesn't want to be disturbed. He only sees a few people a day, and if he's in a bad mood, he won't see anyone, so you must be mentally prepared. That I know. Thank you. The waiter took the gold and went to work, satisfied. One person can form a town. This Song Hutong is really amazing. Xiao Kong popped out a snake head from his pocket and said in surprise. That's right. Song Hutong is so warm-hearted, we might be able to ask him for help, Tang Ao said casually, carefully tasting the tea that the waiter served. The waiter quickly served the food, and Tang Ao and Xiao Kong, one man and one snake, wolfed down the food as if they had never eaten in their previous lives, sweeping away all the food on the table. Soon, the table was a mess, and the other customers who were eating on both sides were shocked. Let's go. Tang Ao patted his stomach in satisfaction, threw 2 gold ingots worth 10 taels to the waiter, and strode out. Following the waiter's instructions, the two quickly found a large, workshop-like manor in the southeast corner of Jade Hill Village. From time to time, rhythmic hammering sounds could be heard. This should be the place. Tang Ao strode into the courtyard. More than a dozen young men were bare-chested. Their muscles were bouncing up and down along with the hammering of the sledgehammer. The light of the fire was reflected on their sweaty dark backs, making the courtyard even hotter. Please wait a moment. This is a place of forging, and unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. A sturdy middle-aged man blocked the two, not letting them go any further. We're here to see Master Song Hutong. Please help me tell him. Tang Ao didn't dare to be presumptuous in front of outsiders, so he cupped his fists and asked, Is that so? You've come at the right time. Master is here, please wait for a moment in the meeting hall. The man made an inviting gesture. Tang Ao didn't dare to act rashly, so he followed the man to the meeting hall. Stepping into the meeting hall, Tang Ao was stunned. So many people. Be it the chairs for guests or the hassock, they were all occupied. Some even lined up outside the meeting hall. Some were leisurely, as if they didn't care about waiting in the hall, while others looked anxious, secretly complaining about Song Hutong's arrogance. Tang Ao calmed himself down, found a quiet place to sit down, and closed his eyes to rest. Master Song Hutong has arrived. The man announced at the top of his voice. Then, an old man in a gray robe walked in from the back of the hall, shakily supported by his disciples. The old man looked so frail that he could not even stand a gust of wind. It was as if a slight push would break his bones and tendons. This is Master Craftsman Song Hutong? He's just a rotten old man. A rotten old man knows how to craft? I've waited for so long for nothing. What a disappointment, a rotten old man. Song Hutong coughed a few times, his hands trembling as he held on to the armrest of the chair. This old man is Song Hutong. I'm ill, if I've done anything impolite, please forgive me. Cut the crap. Old Song, our East Domain Mo family wants to craft a spirit treasure divine weapon. Tell me, how much do you want? A young man dressed in luxurious clothes called out to Song Hutong, his face arrogant and unreasonable. If that's the case. Song Hutong looked shocked. He turned to the man and the disciples behind him. Go throw the Mo family people out, so they don't dirty the meeting hall. Wah, what? You rotten old man, Do you know who we are? You actually let go, you barbarians, let go. The young master of the Mo family didn't say much before he was thrown out by the man. Even the guards behind him didn't have a chance to fight back. I can't tell, but these disciples' cultivation is quite high. Tang Ao's expression was normal. This old man is really sincere, interesting. Chapter 135. I am the eldest disciple of Boundless Building, Shi Guiyue. I would like to ask Master Song to forge a whip-type divine weapon for our sect. This is the deposit of 2 orange-gray jade. Once the weapon is successfully forged, our sect will also give you 2 yellow-gray jade. Song Hudong smiled and nodded. He beckoned to the disciple behind him. Take it and record it down. Forge it when you have time. I thought this master blacksmith, who helped the villagers get rich, was noble. Turns out he's also a greedy guy. Xiao Kong poked his head out and muttered to himself. I think he's quite good. His temper suits my taste. Tang Ao looked at Song Hutong with interest. That's true. You're also very strange. That old man's taste for you is not strange at all. Shut up. Say one more word and I'll reduce your portion for dinner. Tang Ao reprimanded Xiao Kong. Immediately, Xiao Kong's snake head wilted and he obediently shrank in Tang Ao's arms without saying a word. With the example of young Master Mo and Boundless Building's Master Guiyue, the people who came to ask Song Hutong to forge weapons were much more polite. The deposit they gave was also much more generous. Some even offered 10 yellow-gray jade. Their generosity was shocking. It's your turn, young man. What do you want? How many jades did you bring as deposit? A disciple from an aristocratic family asked scornfully. He glanced at Tang Ao and asked, Don't tell me you're so poor that you don't have money. Go back while you still can. How dare you ask Master Song Hudong to forge weapons for you when you don't have money? Stop dreaming. Tang Ao turned a deaf ear to them. He ignored the group of disciples and respectfully cupped his fists towards Song Hutong. I am an inner disciple of 7 Kill Clan, Tang Ao. I beg Senior to forge a bow for me. Song Hutong smiled and stroked his beard. So you're Tang Ao. Fuyang told me that you lack a big bow to control your life spirit. Then, where's your payment? I don't have any payment. Without any payment, I'm forging a divine weapon for you. Are you trying to get something for nothing? The crowd laughed loudly. He doesn't even have any payment. Look at how poor he is. And he says he's an inner disciple of 7 Kill Clan. What a shame. I'm dying of laughter. I laugh so hard that my stomach hurts. Tang Ao's face suddenly changed. He looked around at the disciples of the aristocratic families and cultivation sects and said in a righteous manner, Humph! I had thought that the cultivators, who stayed away from worldly affairs, were just a bunch of bootlickers and money snobs. Ever since I joined the 7 Kill sect, I've been cultivating my character. I'm indifferent to fame and fortune, and I view money as dirt. Since everyone wants to see, open your eyes and take a good look at the foundation of an inner sect disciple of the 7 Kill sect. As he spoke, he waved his sleeves, and one after another, large boxes landed on the floor of the meeting hall. There were more than 10 boxes in total. When they were opened to take a look, everyone was instantly dumbfounded. Pieces of earthly yellow-gray jade stones were neatly stacked in the box. The jade stones emitted a faint radiance. It was unknown how many levels higher they were compared to the deposits those sects and clans used. These were all things Tang Ao had obtained after taking care of the people who had been chasing him. There were even elders among them. It could be said that he could take as much as he wanted. Are you all satisfied? Master Song, as long as you refine a divine bow for this junior, these jade stones will be the reward. What do you think? Tang Ao's sudden outburst silenced everyone, and it also made Tang Ao speak more forcefully. All right. Little brother is really extraordinary. I can help you refine this big bow of yours. Halfway through her words, Song Hudong stopped and looked at Tang Ao as if she was hinting at something. Tang Ao understood at a glance. He then cupped his fists and said, Master Song, if you can help me refine this godly bow, as long as you have a request, I will not hesitate to go through water and tread on fire. Song Hudong nodded slightly and praised, Come with me. Boss, I'll leave the rest to you. We'll take these jobs. Sigh. Alright. The man accepted the order and led his disciples to count the deposit and make a list of the grades. Tang Ao followed behind Song Hudong carefully, afraid that the old man would fall and trap him if he was not careful. Ah, there's no need to be so reserved. This old man's body is still strong. Song Hudong brought Tang Ao into his room and then took out an ancient painting and a letter. This old man would like to ask for your help. If you succeed, this old man will help you refine a peerless godly skill. A peerless godly bow. Tang Ao was a little excited, but he restrained himself and cupped his fists. Grandmaster Song, if you have something to say, just say it. If it is within this junior's ability, even if I have to go through fire and water, this junior will not hesitate. Ha. Little brother is indeed a straightforward person. This old man will also be straightforward. It's like this. This old man has a granddaughter called Bai Lianxin. She lives in Qingping town. I want you to go to her side and protect her. The duration is 1 month. This painting and this letter are the proof. You just need to show them to her when the time comes, Song Hudong said. You have to be careful. Although this old man has not been involved in family matters for a long time, the feud between the Bai and Huang families has been going on for generations. This old man was also involved in it and only managed to escape after much difficulty. So you have to be careful. Song Hudong added with a hint of helplessness in his words. This old man understands. If there's nothing else, this old man will be leaving first. As for the forging of the bow, Tang Ao finished negotiating the conditions. He wanted to say something but stopped. Don't worry. I have a dragon tendon here. Together with the best forging materials, it won't be a problem to recreate the glory of the ancient sun shooting bow. When you successfully complete the task, I will forge it for you when you return. Song Hudong said confidently. Thank you very much, Master Song. Immediately, Tang Ao packed his bag and dry food. Following Song Hudong's directions, he headed for Qingping town, northwest of Yuqiu village. Tang Ao hurried along the way. With a clear direction, Tang Ao quickly found Qingping town. Qingping town is just ahead. I've been on the road for half a day again. Little Kong could not help but complain. The road to happiness is strewn with setbacks. I feel that he will help me forge a different longbow. Tang Ao's eyes were filled with longing. Suddenly, he became alert. Wait, I hear the sounds of fighting. Let's go and take a look. Sure enough, beside a stream more than 5 kilometers away from Qingping town, there were 2 groups of people, one white and one yellow, fighting. There were a total of 500 to 600 warriors. Waves of vital qi fluctuated, and from time to time, there were explosions of air waves. There were also all kinds of life souls flying around. Among them, there were 2 middle-aged men dressed in yellow and white. They were fighting fiercely. One look and anyone could tell that they were the leaders of the 2 groups. The Huang family and the Bai family are mortal enemies. Let's go ask and help the Bai family. When the time comes, it'll be easier to close the gap. Tang Ao thought for a moment, then sped up and rushed into the battle. Chapter 136. I am a servant of the Huang family, help us fight. Hearing that it was an ally, the servant's face lit up and he urged. Then I'm sorry. Tang Ao smiled mischievously and slammed his palm on the back of the servant's head, causing him to faint. Huang family's grandsons, your grandpa Tang is here. Why are you not surrendering? With Tang Ao's roar, all of the Huang family servants noticed Tang Ao's existence. The anger on their faces became even more intense, and the number of people rushing towards Tang Ao gradually increased. Pa 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 ja ja. Tang Ao did not care about the consequences. He rolled up his sleeves and beat up anyone wearing yellow clothes. After that, he threw them to the side and looked for the next target. Originally, they thought that Tang Ao was just a youngster who was easy to bully because he was small. Who would have thought that he was simply a killing god? Wherever he went, screams would resound. In a short while, more than half of the Huang family's people were beaten by Tang Ao. The other half gradually shrank and were surrounded by the Bai family servants. The leader of the Bai family saw that the situation was not good, so he broke away from the leader of the Bai family and attacked Tang Ao. Oh? You all think that I am a soft persimmon that you can pinch whenever you see me? Tang Ao coldly snorted. With a thought, Yuan Qi filled his body and a green lotus floated above his head. 3 undying swords whizzed out from the stamen of the flower. In an instant, they were around 3 feet long, and they revolved around Tang Ao. Kill! Tang Ao held 2 swords while the other one floated beside him. He used the mental cultivation method of the ice crystal sword and attacked the leader of the Bai family. In an instant, he exploded with Yuan Qi and the undying swords were surrounded by cold air. As soon as they came into contact, the leader of the Huang family's face changed. Origin Realm Warrior. Who are you? Why are you interfering in the matter between the Huang and Bai family? Being defeated in attack, the leader of the Huang family had no choice but to be cautious. Finding out the opponent's background was the best choice. Why do you care who I am? I don't like you, so I want to beat you up. What can you do to me? Tang Ao had a rude and unreasonable look on his face as he gripped the 2 invincible sword bodies and launched a series of attacks. How could the Huang family's leader resist? In just a few moves, he was sent flying by Tang Ao. The leader of the Huang clan killed his way into the encirclement of the Bai clan's guards and brought the remaining people back. Tang Ao was not in the mood to chase after them. He raised his hand to stop the eager servants of the Bai family. Don't chase a cornered enemy. Where's your leader? Tell him to come out and talk to me. The continent treated experts with utmost respect, let alone a group of mortals. Tang Ao's swift and decisive actions had shocked them. Immediately, a man dressed in white with a lotus embroidered on his chest walked out. I am the Bai clan's head servant and supervisor, Bai Yangping. Thank you for your help. May I know what business young master has here? Bai Yangping respectfully cupped his fists and bowed, not daring to show any neglect. Tang Ao casually reclined on the grass beside the river. Your ancestor, Song Hutong, asked me to protect her granddaughter, Bai Lianxin. Quickly take me to see her. In order not to arouse Bai Yangping's suspicion, Tang Ao took out the painting as proof for Bai Yangping to verify. The painting has the seal of the Bai clan and the ancestor's handprint. This way please, young hero. Bai Yangping first sent a servant to report the news while he led his men to act as Tang Ao's guide. Uncle Bai? Grandfather sent a letter? As soon as he arrived at the entrance of the Bai clan's residence, a beautiful girl in a short white skirt jumped up to greet him. Seeing Tang Ao, she blushed slightly. You must be young hero Tang. Please come in. Tang Ao didn't stand on ceremony as he strode towards the hall and sat on the first seat on the right side of the hall. This senior was ordered by Song Hutong to protect Miss Bai for a month. This is the letter that ancestor Song gave me. Bai Lianxin took the letter and read it. She smiled faintly. Thank you, young Master Tang. Young Master Tang, please rest here for a night. Tomorrow we will leave for Yellow Sand Town. The Bai clan's goods must not be lost. When the time comes, we will have to rely on you. Miss Bai must be joking. Entering the guest room, Tang Ao immediately sat cross-legged. His soul soared through the clouds and arrived at the boundless world. With a few steps, he stepped into the 15th heaven. Just one more fate soul, and I will have gathered 6 fate souls. Taking heavy steps, Tang Ao carefully searched the boundless world under the heavy pressure of the heavens. I have a saber soul. There is not much use for it. Tang Ao saw a dazzling saber soul and shook his head. Halberd soul. It is similar to the 100 battle spear soul. Not interesting. Soul seeking? Tang Ao was attracted by a black rope-like fate soul in front of him. He could not help but walk towards it. He could faintly hear the sorrowful cries of ghosts and gods. Tang Ao muttered to himself as he slowly picked. Wake up! Tang Ao suddenly shivered and woke up. Damn! Soul-seeking, no wonder. It's you. Tang Ao immediately absorbed the soul seeker and walked around, but he didn't find any good life souls. Next time, I will go to the 16th heaven. Tang Ao's 7-kill art was still short of a weapon fate soul. Tang Ao wanted to break through to a certain realm and find some good fate souls to refine. Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from the sky. A dark meteor whistled across the sky and landed in a guest room of the Bai clan, accompanied by the cries of ghosts and gods. What fate soul is that? It looks very powerful. It actually landed in the direction of the Bai residence. Did someone in the Bai clan discover such a powerful fate soul? With the help of an expert, the Bai clan will have a greater chance of winning against the Huang clan in the future. Miss, this young hero Tang that the old ancestor called out is extraordinary. This time, we will definitely be able to deal a heavy blow to the Huang clan. Bai Yangping looked at the fate soul falling from the sky and was overjoyed. Bai Lianxin relaxed and smiled. That's right. Young hero Tang may be young, but his cultivation is extraordinary. He looks like he is 18 or 19 years old, but he possesses terrifying strength. This life soul is at least at the 12th firmament. We have to rope it in and treat it well. Don't neglect it. Yes. The next day, when Tang Ao came out, the Bai clan respectfully stood at the side and cupped their fists. Congratulations on your cultivation, young hero Tang. After being pranked, Tang Ao was stunned and did not know whether to laugh or cry. Looks like my arrival has brought a lot of hope to the Tang clan. Everyone, there is no need to be so polite. I am only here to recruit someone. Tang Ao gave a few simple words and strode into the main hall. Are you going to deliver a batch of goods today? Tang Ao asked. If possible, put the goods in my storage ring and storage bag, and make a few empty boxes to deceive others. It will be safer to hand them over when the time comes. Bai Lianxin pondered for a while and decided. Let's do that. Thank you, young hero Tang. Chapter 137. I wouldn't dare. Young master, please. I'll go with you this time. Bai Lianxin's almond-shaped eyes twinkled, looking extremely flirtatious. Tang Ao was lying on his back on a horse carriage with a jade umbrella covering his head. There were also 2 maids pouring wine for Tang Ao and massaging his back. That was a comfortable and happy life. Xiao Kong was also lying next to Tang Ao. From time to time, he would swallow pieces of roasted beast meat and expose his belly for the maids to scratch. It was a very enjoyable life. Their actions caused some people to be unhappy. We've never been treated like this even when we risked our lives. Who is this guy? He's so unrestrained the moment he arrived. The vice leader of the servants spat with jealousy. Don't talk so much. He was sent by the ancestor. I heard that he defeated 300 to 400 servants of the Huang family. Another vice leader advised. Humph. I just can't stand him. As he spoke, he turned his horse around and came to the front of Tang Ao's carriage. He stomped on Tang Ao's carriage and said, Tang, listen up. If anything happens and you don't do your best, I won't be polite to you. Which dog is barking outside? You're ruining my mood. Tang Ao's lazy voice was heard. If you know what's good for you, scram as far as you can. Otherwise, I'll throw you out myself. How arrogant. I'd like to see what you're capable of. The vice leader summoned 3 fate souls. One was at the 3rd heaven, one was at the 5th heaven, and one was at the 8th heaven. He sat on the horse's head proudly and said, "Please enlighten me." 3rd heaven. It turns out that the deputy leader is also a hidden expert. Previously, the vice leader fought against more than 50 servants of the Huang family alone, and was defeated by the leader. That Tang brat is finished. He might be defeated. A battle was about to break out. In order to control the situation, Bai Yangping turned around and said to Bai Lianxin, "I'll go stop them." Bai Lianxin raised her hand to stop him. "Don't rush. I want to see Tang Ao's true capabilities." It would have been better if she didn't say it, but once she said it, Bai Yangping panicked. "Miss, Sir Tang is an Origin Realm cultivator and his strength is overwhelming. The Huang family's head servant Huang Pulin and I were evenly matched, but in young Master Tang's hands, he could not last more than 10 rounds. Ah? Hurry up and stop them." Bai Lianxin immediately panicked. After all, she was young and knew very little about cultivation, especially when it came to life souls and martial artist realms. She was practically a newbie. "Stop. 3rd brother, quickly stop and apologize to young Master Tang. Mr. Tang has a noble status and he is also a martial artist of the Origin Realm. How can you afford to offend him?" Bai Yangping reined in his horse and advised 3rd brother. Who would have thought that the 3rd brother would not appreciate it and insisted on exchanging a few blows with Tang Ao. He had already boarded Tang Ao's carriage and was ready to pull Tang Ao out. Buzz! The spiritual aura around the carriage violently fluctuated and a terrifying aura was emitted from Tang Ao's carriage. The 3rd brother was blown away by the airwave and fell down. The horses around the carriage all felt their legs go weak from the pressure from Tang Ao's aura. Bai Yangping resisted the pressure and mustered all his strength. His face was red as he said, "Young Master Tang, please calm down. I did not discipline my subordinates strictly. Please forgive me." "Shh. There's an ambush." Immediately, the escort team quieted down and carefully listened to their surroundings. First team, Scout 30 Zhang to the left. Second team, Scout 30 Zhang to the right. Third and fourth team, prepare to support. Bai Yangping displayed the qualities a leader should have and calmly responded. Chirp! A mournful whistling arrow shot out from the depths of the forest on both sides. Following that, 10,000 arrows shot out at the same time. Do, pu pu pu. For a moment, the teams could not react in time and were shot down. Defensive formation. Bai Yangping ordered again. The team quickly formed an encirclement, protecting Tang Ao and Bai Lianxin's carriage in the middle. 3 rounds of arrows rained down on the main road, making it look like a porcupine. Bai Yangping's defensive formation consisted of a dozen or so shields that could be pieced together to form an omnidirectional defense. The arrows fell to the ground. "Why are you sneaking around? If you have the ability, come out and fight with me." Tang Ao detected the enemy's position. There were a few powerful auras that had reached the peak of the 9th celestial layer. "Kill!" Battle cries came from both sides. Then, about 1,000 men surrounded by 3 men dressed in luxurious yellow robes rushed out. "I heard that the Bai clan recruited an expert. So it's just a brat. When I was running amok, you were still drinking milk in your mother's bosom." One of the skinny and tall men mocked mercilessly. Haha! The 1,000 servants of the Huang family roared with laughter. Tang Ao felt goosebumps all over his body as he laughed awkwardly. "He's called Huang Puyuan. The one on the left is the one you taught a lesson to, Huang Pulin. The one on the right is Huang Pujiang. They are the 3 main stewards of the Huang clan. They are mainly responsible for leading the Huang clan's servants to fight against us." Bai Lianxin whispered into Tang Ao's ear. Her breath was like an orchid, making Tang Ao's neck itch. "I don't want to talk nonsense. I will count to 10. Retreat from here and swear not to harass the Bai clan. Otherwise, I will break your legs and throw you all out." Tang Ao's eyes shone brightly. 2 rays of light shot out and his killing intent soared. Humph! What arrogance! Today we 3 brothers are here. We will not tolerate your impudence. Hand over your life. Huang Pulin summoned his fate soul and shouted. He took the lead and rushed forward. Huang Puyuan also summoned his fate soul and rushed forward to fight with Tang Ao. It's good that you've come. I can use this chance to sharpen my swordsmanship. With a thought, Tang Ao summoned his green lotus sword soul. Both of his hands grabbed at the air, and 2 of the undying sword bodies grew in the wind, while the last one circled around Tang Ao. The 4 of them engaged in a chaotic battle. Tang Ao's floating indestructible sword physique held up Huang Pulin, who had the weakest cultivation, while he held 2 swords in his hands, fighting 1 against 2 while Huang Puyuan and Huang Pujiang fought together. The 3 of them each had 3 fate souls. If it were not for Tang Ao's half-step sword aura, it would be hard for him to defend. The Heaven Eye art outlined the 3's attack trajectories in his mind. The undying sword body predicted and defended, blocking all the attacks. You 3 only have this much? Tang Ao sneered. This was not enough at all, and they still came to die. Sigh, they really did not know that there was always someone better. Thinking about it, he activated the ice crystal sword. The air suddenly cooled down. Ice crystals froze on the 3's clothes. Pong! 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 The undying sword body was 3 times more powerful than before. Before the sword body even arrived, the cold chi had already seeped into their bones. Although Tang Ao was still defending, his aura was gradually suppressing the 3 Huang brothers. Chapter 138. The 3rd brother, who had been clamoring for a duel with Tang Ao, instantly lost his temper. One had to know that he could not last more than 30 moves against Huang Bulin, let alone the 3 Huangpu brothers. Wasn't that just looking for a beating? Tang Ao had the intention to hone his half-step sword prowess, so he did not increase his strength. He only relied on the ice crystal sword to block. Huang Puyuan, who was on the right, activated his 3 life souls. While Tang Ao was blocking the other 2, he attacked Tang Ao's exposed lower body. Unexpectedly, the moment he touched it, the undying sword body that surrounded him blocked Huang Puyuan's attack. The ice on the sword quickly spread and froze the space where Huang Puyuan was. Huang Puyuan's pupils constricted, and he quickly jumped away. He joined the other 2 and surrounded Tang Ao. The 3 of them, 1 on top, 1 on bottom, and 1 on bottom, worked together seamlessly. They were like a machine, and they were evenly matched with Tang Ao. The trio's strength gradually increased, and they were about to catch up to Tang Ao's 20,000 kilograms. Tang Ao sensed something strange. Everyone's strength is slowly increasing, and the rate is roughly the same. Not only Tang Ao, but the surrounding Bai family members also noticed this. Bai Lianxin frowned and thought for a moment, as though she was recalling something. I don't remember these 3 from the Huang family having such an ability, but the increase in strength is real. There's a problem. Housekeeper Bai Yangping nodded. They must have used some special ability to gradually increase their aura and strength. The situation on the battlefield gradually changed. At the beginning, Tang Ao was controlling the situation, suppressing the 3 in both aura and strength. Now, the 3 were gradually catching up to Tang Ao, and even overshadowing Tang Ao. Peng! The 3 suddenly exploded, and their strength gathered at one point. The 9th tier of the body refining realm actually had 30,000 kilograms of strength. Tang Ao was sealed, and he could not dodge and was sent flying. Ha 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 ha! What do you think of our joint attack? Huang Pulin laughed proudly. Let this old man tell you, in the Huang family's territory, if you're a dragon, you'll have to bow down to me, and if you're a tiger, you'll have to lie down for me. Tang Ao disdainfully spat out a mouthful of saliva. With just you guys? A bunch of trash. Suddenly, the surrounding spiritual energy fluctuated violently. With Tang Ao as the center, it rapidly gathered and formed a whirlwind of spiritual energy. Tang Ao's aura once again rose to another level. Drink. Xiao Chun targeted Huang Bulin, the weakest of the three. His figure flashed, and he appeared before Huang Bulin. Then, he punched Huang Bulin's abdomen. The force of the punch sent Huang Bulin flying, and he vomited a mouthful of blood. How could that be? A force of 30,000 jin? Puff! Huang Bulin looked at Tang Ao in disbelief, and spat out another mouthful of blood. Huang Puyuan and the other two hurriedly helped Huang Bulin up. They watched in shock as Tang Ao burst out with power that did not match his own strength. Then, the three of them stood in a triangular formation, and their bodies gradually emitted a yellow light. Hua! Suddenly, the three's aura merged together, and another whirlpool formed in the middle of the road. It was the same size as Tang Ao's whirlpool, and they stood side by side. Ghost Gate. Tang Ao curled his lips, wielded his sword and rushed forward. He activated the mental cultivation method of Ice Crystal Sword, and unexpectedly, snowflakes began to float on the damp and stuffy forest road. Even the road within a radius of 100 feet was covered with 3 to 4 inches of ice. Bang! Tang Ao's three undying sword bodies attacked in turn, but Huang Puyuan and the other two did not move. 9 fate souls danced around the three of them, like a super-large protective shield, protecting the three of them. The three's strength and defense have all been improved, and they can resist young Master Tang's over 30,000 jin of strength. Also, there is a ball of light in the middle of the three, and it seems to be brewing something. I'm afraid it will not be easy to deal with. Bai Yangping's eyes were sharp, and he noticed another energy gradually expanding in the middle of the three. What a hard turtle shell. Do you plan to stay like this for the rest of your lives? Tang Ao raised his sword and continuously attacked the defense formed by the 9 fate souls. He also taunted a few times, trying to lure the three into attacking. As you wish. The three suddenly burst out, and the 9 fate souls changed from defense to offense, protecting the ball of light in the middle, and attacked towards Tang Ao. Along the way, sand and stones were sent flying, and the two sides swayed from side to side. This power is very strong. It has the strength of the second or even third level of the origin martial realm. These three must have some secret technique that can combine their strength to achieve the ability to fight above their level. Tang Ao muttered to himself, "All right. It's time to end this." Ha! Following Tang Ao's roar, the light above his head twisted, and 5 fate souls jumped out. Spear, saber, axe, arrow, and rope emitted a different style of light. Tang Ao abandoned his sword and picked up his axe. The sky-moving meridian diagram glowed brightly in his meridians, and the droplet-shaped inner core spun rapidly. Bang! Tang Ao's aura suddenly climbed to a new peak. Circulating the 9-layered wave axe, he fiercely chopped at the light. 9 layered waves, each wave was higher than the previous, and each axe was stronger than the previous one. The strength of the first axe was 2,000 jin, the second was 4,000 jin, and the third was 6,000 jin. When Tang Ao chopped for the 8th time, the combined strength reached 70,000 jin, and in an instant, Huang Puyuan and the other two's combined attack was sent flying. Boom! A mushroom cloud rose, and Huang Puyuan and the other two were exhausted. The shock wave from the explosion caused their blood essence to spurt out, and they were sent flying. He actually sent such a strong force flying. Bai Lianxin was so shocked that her jaw almost dropped to the ground. That's right. Young hero Tang's cultivation is only at the 1st firmament, but he can erupt with the strength of a 3rd or even 4th firmament. Old ancestor sent him to protect young miss for this reason. Bai Yangping roughly analyzed Tang Ao's strength and was amazed. With such an expert assisting us, our Bai clan has the possibility of suppressing the Huang clan and even annihilating the Huang clan. Tang Ao hurriedly followed, and in a few leaps, he arrived at the place where Huang Puyuan had fainted, and searched his body, found it. When the soaring flower vertical strike is trained to the large success stage, it can gather strength and erupt with 3 or even 4 times the strength of one's body. No wonder he dared to challenge me when he is only at the body-tempering realm. Tang Ao kept the secret manual and called for the Bai clanspeople to capture the remaining Huang clan members in one fell swoop, and once again rushed to Yellow Sand Town. Many thanks for young Hero Tang's help. Although young Hero Tang is young, your cultivation is extraordinary, and your future is limitless. Bai Yangping cupped his fists and thanked Tang Ao. Chapter 139. This little girl wouldn't have fallen for me, right? No, I already have Yueru and I haven't gotten my revenge yet. Sigh, after the inner court competition ends, I'll go down to the lower realms to find out more about Yueru. At that moment, Tang Ao's gaze became deep as he calmly stared ahead. After the ambush in the forest, they didn't meet any more people from the Huang family. After another afternoon of traveling, they finally arrived at the Huangsha village. After handing over the goods, Tang Ao went to the inn to digest what he learned and prepared to break through to the second level of the origin realm in one go. Tang Ao thought to himself that with his current realm, if he used his mental cultivation method, body, and secret techniques, his strength would be able to reach 100,000 pounds. However, he would only barely be able to exchange a few blows with Xiao Gudao. Once his origin was exhausted, he would die without a doubt. After a night of silence, Tang Ao closed his eyes and cultivated. He reached the peak of the first level of the origin realm, but it was a pity that Tang Ao's foundation was too deep. Other than his own inner pellet needing spiritual energy, the concealed jade and stone also needed the support of spiritual energy in order to gradually form. Tang Ao went out and met with everyone in the hall. However, he saw Bai Lianxin, Bai Yangping, and the others with gloomy faces. They were silently sitting on chairs. What's wrong? Why do you all have such a bitter face so early in the morning? Tang Ao laughed and asked. The Bai village sent news. The Huang family took advantage of us being away and sent people to sneak attack the Bai family's courtyard. Bai Yangping's eyes were spewing fire and his cheeks were bulging. Tang Ao frowned. When did that happen? Yesterday afternoon, right after we finished dealing with Huang Pulin and his 2 brothers, they attacked our nest. Also, according to the news, they seemed to have seen the figures of disciples from other schools. They had a star emblem on their clothes. Star emblem? Without thinking, Tang Ao said a school that made him indescribably angry. Celestial Sacred School? Yes, it should be. Bai Lianxin and Bai Yangping turned pale with fright. The second school in the eastern region, Celestial Sacred School? Tang Ao's expression was the same as usual, as if he didn't put the number 2 in the eastern region in his eyes. That's right. Only they like to meddle in the affairs of the mortal world. Then what should we do? Bai Lianxin and the others were panicking. Their small clan was not even enough to fill the gaps between the teeth of those big sections. It was like a 3- or 4-year-old child facing a burly man. How could he not tremble? Humph! I didn't go to look for them, but they came knocking on my door. Fine, I'll deal with them all at once. Old and new debts will be settled together. Tang Ao's eyes shone brightly, his brows straightened, and his aura suddenly rose, pressuring the rest of the Bai clan to the point that they couldn't breathe. Where is the Huang family's foundation? 40 li northeast of Yellow Sand Village, there is a city called Ten Ridge Village. It is controlled by the Huang family and is the foundation of the Huang family. Bai Yangping recalled and reported the situation of the Huang family. Alright. I will go and destroy his lair. Gather the servants and return to defend. Remember, don't fight him head-on. The disciples of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect are not people you can deal with. Tang Ao warned the people of the Bai clan about the details they needed to pay attention to. Then, he leaped and jumped towards the northeast. "Uncle Ping, gather the servants, we are leaving." Bai Lianxin's gloomy expression disappeared, and her expression was firm and decisive. She had the demeanor of a family leader. Yes. Bai Yangping received the order. Soon, more than 1,000 servants finished gathering. They threw away all the heavy things and rushed towards the Bai clan village. Tang Ao activated the mysterious valley kick. He could only hear the sound of the wind and see all kinds of scenery in front of him. His speed was 3 to 4 times faster than the yellow horse. After a few minutes, 10 low hills appeared in front of him, and a town the size of a shrimp gradually appeared in front of him. "We are here." Tang Ao took a few steps and jumped into the town. After jumping a few times, he arrived in front of the Huang family's gate. "Who is it?" In front of the Huang family's gate, the 4 guards saw Tang Ao descending from the sky and immediately became nervous. Their faces were filled with vigilance and a trace of fear. A clan that is about to disappear is not worthy of knowing this sovereign's name. Tang Ao laughed sinisterly and stomped his feet. The ground shook as if there was an earthquake, and a crack the width of a person appeared. The 4 guards staggered and fell to the ground. The crack kept twisting, and the door of the Huang family's gate suddenly collapsed. Tang Ao jumped and kicked the stone lion on the right side away, accurately hitting the Huang family's gate. Calm long. With a shocking sound of collapse, the Huang family's gate was razed to the ground. Tang Ao walked straight in, and a large group of servants rushed out from all directions, surrounding Tang Ao. The leader was dressed in a luxurious robe, and his aura was restrained. He should be someone in charge of the house. He looked at Tang Ao coldly. "Who are you? My Huang family has never provoked someone like you. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't blame this old man for being impolite." "Humph." Tang Ao did not say anything and directly showed his green lotus sword spirit. He held the sword in his hand and pointed it at the old man. "Nothing. I just don't like your Huang family's way of doing things, so I'm here to destroy you." What a big tone! The old man was so angry that his beard and hair stood on end. "Little brat, you don't know what's good for you. This old man will twist your head off and use it as a chamber pot." Then, there was a ripple above his head, and 4 life spirits appeared. They clenched their hands into fists and punched toward Tang Ao. The servants surrounding Tang Ao quickly retreated, making a space for them to fight. This kind of cultivator-level battle was not something they could interfere with. They only needed to watch and run away if the situation was not good. "Old thing." Tang Ao spat out a mouthful of saliva. The sky-moving meridian diagram revolved in his body, and suddenly 30,000 pounds of power burst out. "Pooh!" The moment the two came into contact, the old man's face turned as white as paper. He spat out a mouthful of old blood, and his body floated down like an autumn leaf. "Ancestor!" The servants panicked and hurried to catch the falling ancestor. They reached out their hands and found that he was no longer breathing. "Ancestor is dead! Ancestor is dead!" Tang Ao released his yuan qi and took a step forward. His white robe and long hair fluttered even though there was no wind. He raised his hand and held the invincible sword body. "From now on, the Huang family will no longer exist in the 10-ridge town. 10,000 miles ice seal." With a roar, Tang Ao held his sword and slashed in the air. A wave of cold air spread out quickly and covered the entire Huang family. In just a few breaths' time, the Huang family was frozen solid by a layer of ice that was dozens of inches thick. Tang Ao held his sword and slashed again. Poof! The huge ice cover of the Huang family instantly turned into powder after being hit by Tang Ao's sword. Even the courtyard of the Huang family and the servants who did not escape were crushed into ice shards, no longer existing. The villagers in the town were both happy and shocked. "The Huang family is gone. That's great. One less scourge. Ah. Chapter 140. Who cares if he's powerful or not? No one from the Huang clan will bully us anymore. Ha! The commoners spread the news and celebrated. Some even decorated lanterns to celebrate the fact that Ten Ridge Town was free of such a scourge. Tang Ao knew that time was of the essence. After a simple patrol, he turned around and ran towards the Bai clan village. Bai Lianxin and Bai Yangping led the servants and ran for an entire night. They finally arrived at the Bai clan village at dawn the next day. At this moment, the village was filled with smoke. The scene of dogs barking and chickens crowing had long disappeared. Damn it! These scum! Bai Yangping's eyes were bloodshot. He clenched his fists and pounded the ground. Bai Lianxin's eyes were also red. However, she was concerned about the bigger picture and did not recklessly charge forward. Uncle Ping, we need to calm down. According to young Hero Tang, we need to wait for him to return before we act. I'll send a servant to investigate the situation first before making a decision. Bai Yangping forcefully suppressed the anger in his heart and forced himself to calm down to think of a solution. The servant quickly brought back the news. The Huang clan has around 100 to 200 houses. Each house has around 10 people sleeping. There are only a few people patrolling the street. That's around 1,000 to 2,000 people. It seems that the Huang clan has turned out in full force to capture us all. Bai Yangping frowned with a heavy heart. Bai Lianxin was rather optimistic. That means that young Hero Tang's raid on the Huang clan's old nest will most likely be successful. What we need to do now is wait for young Hero Tang to return. I'm afraid you won't be able to wait until then. A gloomy voice passed through the dense forest, causing the number 1 member of the Bai clan to shiver uncontrollably. Who is it? Bai Yangping's expression turned cold. 3 fate spirits appeared. Protect the young lady. Ha ha ha. So the Bai clan's young lady is here. I'll take care of her as well. Suddenly, a black shadow flashed past the protective circle formed by the crowd. A disciple was swept away just like that. After a few moments, there was no more movement. Humans were always filled with fear towards the unknown. Bai Yangping gathered his courage and shouted in the direction the black shadow disappeared. You are also an expert. Why are you doing such despicable things? Chi chi chi. Another burst of sinister laughter rang out, causing everyone's hair to stand on end and chills to run down their spines. Everyone was afraid that they would be the next one to be taken away, so their protective circle tightened even more. Senior Brother Go, this junior brother is not going to take the blame for this. Hurry up and show yourself. That sinister voice sounded again. It sounded like a teasing tone, but it was actually filled with killing intent. There are actually 2 of them. Bai Yangping's face turned pale as cold sweat dripped from his forehead. Shwa shwa. 2 figures appeared on the left and right sides of the protective circle. One of them was surrounded by a deathly aura, while the other was surrounded by dark red electric snakes. A moon-white star was embroidered on their chests, which was the symbol of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect. I'll give you 2 choices. Hand over Bai Lianxin or die with her. Dark red electric snakes flickered all over his body, scaring the Bai family servants so much that their pupils shrank. I swear to protect the young miss with my life. I swear to protect the young miss with my life. It was unknown who shouted this, but it stirred up the emotions of the entire guard team. With resentment and unwillingness, they waved their fists and shouted again and again. The black figure surrounded by the deathly aura seemed to be very excited, as if he had seen a delicacy that he had been drooling over for a long time. Then, let me eat to my heart's content. Thief, how dare you! Bai Yangping roared and circulated his 3 fate souls to attack the person surrounded by the deathly aura. Insignificant tricks. The black-clothed person disdainfully raised his hand and sent Bai Yangping flying. Bai Yangping spat out a mouthful of blood essence. Seeing that the protective circle was about to break and threatened Bai Lianxin's safety, he circulated his fate soul again and rushed towards the black-clothed person. "Humph! You're courting death. I'll give you a ride." The black-clothed person struck Bai Yangping's chest with his palm, sending him flying again. This palm broke his tendons and broke his bones, causing Bai Yangping's chest to cave in. Bai Yangping spat out a few mouthfuls of blood essence, and his body twitched. He couldn't breathe in much, but he couldn't breathe out much. "Uncle Ping!" Bai Lianxin screamed Bai Yangping's name. She was already crying her eyes out. The servants who were protecting her tried their best to hold her back, afraid that she would do something stupid in her agitation. The person surrounded by the deathly aura licked his lips and smiled sinisterly. "Miss Bai, don't be anxious. You're next." After saying that, he swooped down towards Bai Lianxin. He bent his fingers into claws, and his 3 to 4 inches long nails shone with a cold light. Bai Lianxin had lost all hope after Bai Yangping's death. Seeing the black-clothed person attacking her, she closed her eyes and faced it calmly. A shrill scream resounded through the entire forest. The black-clothed person thought that it was Bai Lianxin's scream, but when he looked closely, his face twitched. The black-clothed person's outstretched claws were cut off at his wrist. There was a layer of ice at the cut-off area, and it emitted cold air from time to time. A person stood in front of Bai Lianxin with a sword in his hand. His white robe fluttered without any wind, and he had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. It was Tang Ao. It turned out that Tang Ao felt that his speed was too slow when he was halfway there, so he woke up little Kong, who was sleeping soundly in his arms. After a few space jumps, he finally arrived at dawn. "Young hero Tang, they killed Uncle Ping. You have to avenge him." Bai Lianxin begged Tang Ao with tears on her face. She looked very pitiful. Tang Ao checked Bai Yangping's breathing, and then he took out a pill from his storage ring and fed it to him. After a few breaths, Bai Yangping's breathing gradually calmed down, and his face gradually regained some color. "Are you from the 7-Kill sect? Aren't you afraid of provoking a war between the two sects by attacking a disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect?" The black-clothed person was as pale as a sheet, and he panted heavily. The black-clothed person with a lightning snake returned to his partner's side and supported the black-clothed person with the death energy. He fed a few pills to suppress his injury, but his broken hand could not be reattached. "You, a disciple of the 7-Kill sect, actually dared to attack a friendly sect for no reason. I will definitely demand an explanation from your sect. When that time comes, you will inevitably be stabbed in front of the disciplinary hall." Tang Ao looked fearless. "Then, all of you can go to hell. How dare you!" The black-clothed person with a dark red lightning snake roared, and 6 life souls appeared at the same time. He shot toward Tang Ao at lightning speed. Seeing this power, Tang Ao knew that his opponent was not ordinary. He did not dare to be careless, and immediately summoned 6 life souls. At the same time, the heaven-moving meridian diagram and the 9-layered wave axe were activated at the same time. In an instant, Tang Ao's strength increased to 80,000 pounds. Pooh! Chapter 141. When the two collided, the dark red electric snake man was sent flying by Tang Ao's sword. His life spirit shattered and he fainted on the ground. "TSK. None of them can fight," Tang Ao said arrogantly. The surroundings were silent. Everyone stared at Tang Ao, dumbfounded. Tang Ao slowly walked toward the 2 men in black. The killing intent on his face was hard to conceal. The invincible sword body was already covered with a thick layer of ice, but it was sharper than before. "How dare you injure a disciple of the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect? The Heavenly Star Sacred Sect will not let you go." The man in black trembled as he retreated, but he was still stubborn. "Oh, Tang Ao was very curious. With a wave of the invincible sword body, the head of the man in black flew high into the air. Blood splattered everywhere. In comparison, I hate it more when people threaten me. Seeing this, the dark red electric snake man was so scared that he wet his pants. He kowtowed again and again. We were wrong. Please let me go. I have many elixirs and secret manuals. Please let me go. Tang Ao smiled disdainfully. Don't worry, they are all mine. Another merciless sword strike took away the man's life. He also searched the man's storage ring. Cruel and merciless. Swift and decisive. The surrounding servants felt their blood run cold. They looked at the young Tang Ao in awe. What are you waiting for? Clean up the mess. Don't you want the Bai clan village anymore? Tang Ao became indifferent and leisurely again. It was a huge contrast to the killing god from before. In the end, under Bai Lianxin's leadership, the Bai clan village returned to Bai Lianxin's hands after a bloody battle. Tang Ao casually killed a few strong leaders of the Huang clan servants, which made the Bai clan feel much more relaxed. After doing this, Bai Lianxin sent another group of people to take over Ten Ridge Town. The Bai family took over the 2 villages and took over the surrounding villages, becoming the largest family in the area. Originally, Tang Ao was going to leave, but under the request of the Bai family, especially Bai Lianxin and Bai Yangping, he stayed for a few more days. Over the next few days, Tang Ao gradually touched the bottleneck between the first and second firmament. I'll accumulate some strength and break through to the second firmament in the next 2 days. Then, I'll find my 7th life soul and cultivate the 7 kill slaughter art. Then, I'll be able to leave. That night, Tang Ao drew the surrounding spiritual energy into his body. After being transformed by the Niden, the spiritual energy was stored in all of the major acupuncture points and meridians in his body. After 1 full cycle, Tang Ao broke into the 2nd level of the Origin Martial Realm in one go and increased the power of 1 Origin Force. The higher one's cultivation, the more difficult it was to challenge someone of a higher cultivation level. Unless one's strength was enough to crush the opponent, the longer the battle dragged on, the more disadvantageous it would be for one. If I challenge Xiao Gudao now, I'll probably end up in a draw. But if I finish cultivating the 7 kill slaughter art, the result will be different. After making his decision, Tang Ao closed his eyes. His soul soared up and arrived at the boundless world. Tang Ao whizzed past the 9th layer of heaven and arrived at the 18th layer of heaven in one go. Phew! Every time I look for a life soul, it's like I'm playing with my life. Tang Ao smiled bitterly and began to search in the vast 18th firmament. Purple Dragon Sun Hammer can increase my strength, but since I have the world-conquering axe soul, it's a bit useless. Brocade Lightning Ruler, just SOSO, not interested. Demon Vanquishing Moon Zither, damn, I'm not a girl, I don't want it. Steel Bone Divine Grass. Weapon, I don't want a nature element life soul. Soul Reaping Parting. Wow. What Soul Reaping Hook, that's enough. Tang Ao shook his head and continued to walk forward. Wait, Soul Reaping Hook. It's you. Tang Ao didn't know what to think, but he revealed a playful smile. Immediately, Tang Ao absorbed the Soul Reaping Parting Hook. As soon as he finished absorbing, voila! The surrounding scenery turned upside down, as if he had arrived in the netherworld. From time to time, the howling of wolves and the wailing of ghosts could be heard. Not far away, an illusory shadow flashed past. 2 Ghost Manor Een soldiers were chasing after it relentlessly. Suddenly, a black hook shot out and struck the shadow, causing it to vanish into nothingness. So, it works on a person's soul. No wonder it's called Soul Reaping Parting Hook. The surrounding scenery changed again, and Tang Ao's body returned to the mortal world and let out a long breath. Outside the sky, a black shadow whizzed across the sky, bounced 3 times on the ground, and finally disappeared in the Bai family's courtyard. Because it was late at night, it didn't attract other people's attention, otherwise it would be a burst of surprise and horror. Spear, sword, knife, axe, arrow, rope, hook. I've gathered all 7 weapons. It's time to practice the 7-kill slaughtering art. Tang Ao couldn't suppress the impulse in his heart, and in his mind, he called out the mantra of the 7-kill slaughtering art and took advantage of the bright moonlight to practice. I see, I didn't know that a sword could be used like this. Genius! With such luck, it's no wonder that no one can compete with the 7 weapon life souls. Weapon life souls can be so compatible. Just like this, from time to time, Tang Ao quickly finished practicing the 7-kill slaughtering art, and that night, he reached the initial stage. Together with the other 6 life souls, Tang Ao actually broke through the last small step of half-step sword force, and entered the advanced sword force. Advanced spear force, advanced sword force. If I face Xiao Gudao again, I have the confidence to win without using the 7-kill slaughtering art. Tang Ao reevaluated his own strength, and couldn't help but want to find someone to spar with. Even when the east was bright, Tang Ao still looked like he hadn't had enough. Enjoying the process of cultivation was also the reason why Tang Ao could quickly grow to this stage: patience and loneliness. Miss Bai, sorry to disturb you for so many days in your house. The inner sect examination is near, and I have to rush back, so I'll take my leave now. Tang Ao slightly packed up, and then said goodbye to the 2 masters of the Bai family. Tang Ao was also afraid that if he didn't leave, that old man Song Hudong would go back on his word. You eat, drink, and sleep in my house, and you still want me to help you forge weapons? Not a chance. Bai Yanping wanted to urge Tang Ao to stay, but seeing the determination in Tang Ao's eyes, he let out a long sigh. Young hero Tang saved my life, and I should ask you to stay as a host. However, young hero is not someone who will stay in a small pond, and your future is limitless. I will not ask you to stay, and the Bai family will forever remember young hero Tang's grace. Tang Ao waved his hand and laughed. I was also asked by someone, so there's no need to be so polite. Alright, where is Bai Lianxin? Bai Yanping laughed. Miss knows that she is not strong enough, so she went to find the old ancestor, hoping to learn from him. If that's the case, then I will take my leave. Tang Ao cupped his fists, and with a leap, he jumped out of the Bai family and flew towards Jade Hill village. Chapter 142. Tang Ao sprinted with all his might. His legs moved so fast that his silhouette could barely be seen. Behind him, there was a huge cloud of dust. It was as if he was running an army of thousands. Damn! If I knew this earlier, I would have bought a horse. Tang Ao was panting a little. After running for nearly 100 miles in one breath, anyone would find it hard to bear. We're finally here. A small city with tall buildings gradually appeared on the horizon. He let out a long sigh of relief. He strode into Song Hudong's workshop and shouted loudly, Old Song, I've completed my task. It's time for you to fulfill your promise. Young Master Tang. Master has been waiting for a long time. Please follow me. The boss led Tang Ao around the hall and arrived in front of a small thatched hut. Master, I've brought Tang Ao. Good. Little Tang, come in. Song Hudong's old voice came from inside the hut. Compared to the weak and old voice from the other day, it was much more powerful. Tang Ao was curious about the furnishings in the small thatched hut. He was shocked by the scene in front of him the moment he stepped in. A white-haired man was wielding an iron hammer the size of a human head. He was hammering a piece of red-hot raw material on an anvil. The muscles on his body bulged up and down rhythmically with the rise and fall of the hammer. His upper body was sweating profusely, and the red color of the furnace made him look even more muscular and powerful. Who else could it be other than Song Hudong? Song, Master? Tang Ao was so surprised that he doubted his own eyes. Who would have thought that the man in front of him was the dying old man in the hall that day? Little Tang, you've done well. Song Hudong praised Tang Ao with a trace of affection in his eyes. That year, before I left, I barged into the Huang family all by myself. I wanted to settle this grudge that had accumulated for so many years. However, after some thought, I killed all of the ancestors of the Huang family, leaving behind a group of weak clansmen. I wanted to use this as an opportunity for Xian to hone himself. I've seen Xian's growth over the past few years. She's learned a lot from the battle with the Huang family, and she's capable of shouldering the heavy burden of the family. It's just that there's been news recently that the Huang clan has colluded with the Heavenly Star Sacred Sect in an attempt to overthrow the Bai clan in one fell swoop. That's why I sent you there to test you. Tang Ao's face darkened when he heard this. Who would train their granddaughter like this? Deliberately nurturing a tiger only to bring disaster upon themselves. Fortunately, Song Hudong had robbed the Huang family's foundation once. Otherwise, it wouldn't be easy to deal with them alone. Let's cut to the chase. When do you plan to practice the bow? As for the materials, I have some exotic beasts' bodies and cores. If I can't do it, I'll go hunt some more. Tang Ao seemed a little impatient. Even if I let you go, you don't have the ability. Song Hudong raised her eyebrows. What? Dragon tendon! Tang Ao was speechless again. If it was a python, he could try his luck and kill one. Tang Ao had never seen a flood dragon, which was one level lower than a dragon. Moreover, he wasn't strong enough, so he would be courting death if he went. Your life spirit is the sun-shooting arrow spirit. In this world, only the sun-shooting bow can unleash its true power. Only with dragon tendons as the string can the bow and arrow be forged with such power, and only with dragon tendons can the bow withstand the earth-shattering power. Once the bow is released, the world will be destroyed. Song Hudong raised her head in admiration as she recalled something. Has anyone in this world refined it before? Did they succeed? Tang Ao swallowed his saliva and asked. Yes. Only one person succeeded. After he killed the 9 golden crows, there was no more news of him. Even the sun-shooting bow disappeared without a trace. This old man traveled the world to find the method to refine the sun-shooting bow. In the end, I found the most crucial step here. The most crucial step? Isn't it to find the dragon tendon? Tang Ao was very curious. Song Hudong's narration had successfully hooked his appetite. No. It's water. Song Hudong said softly, the sun-shooting divine bow must be cooled by the coldest water in the world, the 10,000-year frigid spring, so that the bow can be tough and flexible. Only then can it withstand the repeated opening and closing of a huge force. As for this water, I couldn't find it anywhere in the world. I only found a similar substitute here, but it's only a few thousand years old. It's far from the standard to refine a divine bow. This is the reason why you abandoned Bai Lianxin and came here? I thought you got together with some old lady and didn't want to leave. Tang Ao was speechless. There was no one else who could be so crazy about refining weapons to the point of abandoning his family. Right. Bai Lianxin is on the way. She said she wants to find you to cultivate. Tang Ao told Song Hudong about Bai Lianxin. That's fine too. It's safer to keep her by my side. At the mention of Bai Lianxin, Song Hudong's face was full of love and smiles. Then, her expression changed and she said to Tang Ao solemnly, later, when I open the furnace to forge iron, you have to control the fire for me. Also, when I forge iron later, you have to go underground and fetch a vat of 1,000-year frigid spring for me. What the F***ck? Tang Ao was stunned. Why do I have to do everything? I'm not a coolie. Unexpectedly, Song Hudong chuckled and said mysteriously, Don't worry, you'll get your share. Tang Ao listened to Song Hudong's words for some reason. He took off his shirt, revealing a lean but muscular body. It's just controlling the fire. You have so many disciples. Can't they do it? Of course not. They don't have the heaven's eye art. The old man seemed to mention this carelessly as he observed Tang Ao's movements from the corner of his eyes. When Tang Ao heard the words heaven's eye art, he shuddered and smiled gently. As expected of an old master. You're very knowledgeable. Hee. The cultivation of heaven's eye art has always appeared together with the sun shooting bow. It's recorded in the books. It's not surprising that I know about it. Song Hutong explained and began to prepare the materials to forge the bow. Not bad. Once I absorbed the sun shooting aerosol, the 6-combination mirror taught me the heaven's eye art. Seems like it's not a coincidence. I'll have to investigate the 6-point mirror some other day. Tang Ao mumbled and began to blow the bellows seriously to heat the furnace. When forging a bow, the most important thing is to control the fire. When the impurities have been separated and the material has been purified, when it's about to boil, you have to control the moment. If it's too high, you have to lower the fire. If it's too low, you have to raise the fire. Song Hutong smiled as she looked at Ting Qingshan's face that was roasted red by the fire. This is to train your control of Yuan Qi. As long as you learn it, you'll be able to accurately control the degree of Yuan Qi usage during duels. There won't be any wastage. Chapter 143. You'll know once you practice. Song Hutong smiled mysteriously. He took out a few black raw materials and threw them into the crucible. Under Tang Ao's raging flames, they quickly turned red. Hoochie, hoochie! Inside the thatched cottage, Tang Ao was squatting under a furnace that was as tall as a person. He was pulling a square box of bellows, constantly supplying air to the furnace. The carbon in the furnace was already burning like the noon sun. It shone with an orange glow, and the tongue of the flame went straight up. The scorching hot outer flame would occasionally lick the bottom of the crucible. In the pot, a few large pieces of black raw materials were gradually burning red. The outermost layer even showed signs of softening and liquefying. Kid, not bad. You're able to burn the quaking mountain blackstone to this state in such a short time. Looks like you're really made for smithing. Song Hutong's deep voice reverberated in the thatched cottage. He reached out his hand and added a few more black stones into the crucible. There are 10 baskets of black stones here. The bow of the shooting sun god bow is refined from the quaking mountain blackstone. Only it can withstand the instantaneous explosive force of the shooting sun god arrow. So kid, take your time. You won't be able to finish one basket in less than 14 to 16 hours. Pfft. Tang Ao almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He had been dragged here to do hard labor for such a long time. Grumbling was just grumbling. After Song Hutong's encouragement, Tang Ao looked forward to the shooting sun god bow even more. He immediately pulled the bellows with all his might, hoping to melt the black stones as soon as possible. After pulling for more than 2 hours, Tang Ao's arm gradually became numb. His muscles were swollen and sore. He couldn't help but ask, "How is it? Has it melted? Why are you so anxious? It's only half a basket of black stones. The black stones in the pot haven't melted yet. Why, do you feel that your arm is sore and can't exert any strength?" Song Hutong asked with a smile. Tang Ao laughed bitterly. If you want to say instantaneous eruption, I have the ability to fight against 100,000 jin, but if I pull slowly like this, I really... After pondering for a long time, Tang Ao actually couldn't describe that feeling. Try inhaling and exhaling with the rhythm of your bellows. Pull and inhale, then push back and exhale. Song Hutong guided Tang Ao bit by bit. Pull, inhale, push back, exhale. Tang Ao silently recited the trick and did it dozens of times in a regular pattern. He could clearly feel a warm current rising from his dantian and lingering around his body. Finally, it gathered at the position of his arm. His originally sore and swollen arm actually gradually relaxed. It's really possible. Is this the power of the Niden? Tang Ao asked Song Hutong curiously while enjoying the comfort brought by the circulation. You cultivators, especially the young ones, always want to defeat your opponent when you fight, so you use your vitality without any regard for your life. In the end, when your vitality is exhausted, that kind of heart-wrenching pain is like traveling through the 18 levels of hell. Song Hutong sighed. Actually, as long as you act naturally and follow your heart, you can reduce the waste of vitality and maximize the use of vitality. This is also my experience of forging for many years. Continue to pull, I have other things to teach you. Song Hutong poured the entire first basket of black stones into the crucible. Quick, increase the heat. With a command, Tang Ao followed the method taught by Song Hutong, pulling and pushing, inhaling and exhaling. Tang Ao only felt his body gradually heating up. Coupled with the burning of the furnace, his throat felt like it was on fire and was so dry that smoke was coming out. His body was drenched in sweat, and the sweat droplets formed small streams that dripped down. As soon as the sweat touched the ground, it immediately evaporated with a sizzling sound. Now go and follow the rhythm of inhaling and exhaling to circulate your vitality and simply feel it. This basket is about to melt, so you have to be prepared. When I say yes, remember the temperature in the crucible and the state of the flame. Next, you have to maintain that state until the quaking mountain black gold is extracted. Song Hutong focused on the changes in the crucible and explained the key points of the smelting process to Tang Ao. Yes. Tang Ao operated his mind and from a glowing acupuncture point on his back, drew out 2 ribbon-like vitality and gathered it on his arms to relieve his fatigue and prepare for the heavy load later. At the same time, he circulated the heaven's eye technique and covered his eyes with a layer of golden light. Everything in front of him was clearly seen in his mind, even the jumping trajectory of the flame was clearly seen. Try to grasp it with your senses. Then, use the heaven's eye technique to give you a better experience. You will be able to see all the subtle movements clearly. Song Hutong advised Tang Ao carefully. Tang Ao nodded and closed his eyes. He opened his body's senses to the maximum and tried his best to experience it. Plop! That was the sound of sweat dripping. Sizzling, sizzling. The flames in the furnace roasted the crucible. A flame? Yes, it was a flame. It moved back and forth, stirring the air and making a faint sound. It was like a fluff scratching the bottom of the crucible. Tang Ao revealed a happy smile. He had always seen the world with his eyes. He didn't expect that he could experience a different feeling with his senses. As the saying goes, after tasting the marrow, one would know the taste. Tang Ao experienced the joy and simply couldn't stop. His whole body's senses explored wantonly, and he felt out the little thatched cottage. All right. Hurry up, the black stones have all melted. You have to be prepared. Song Hutong coughed and reminded Tang Ao. At this time, the black stones in the pot had all melted and were sticky in the pot. Occasionally, some small bubbles would rise to the surface. It was obvious that it was the moment that Song Hutong said to roll over. At this moment, apart from the crackling and raging flames in the furnace and the dragging sound of the bellows, both of them were staring at the furnace with rapt attention. As Tang Ao inhaled and exhaled, he was constantly listening to Song Hutong's signals. The temperature and burning degree of the flames in the furnace were all depicted in his mind. Song Hutong's white eyebrows were tightly locked. Although she was old, her eyes were still focused on the increasing number of bubbles in the crucible. They were like jackals on the grassland, lying on the side, waiting for the fat sheep to die step by step. With every passing moment, the 2 of them would become more focused, waiting for the moment to unleash their power. All right. With a sudden order, 2 rays of light flashed in Tang Ao's eyes. The speed at which he pulled his arms became faster and faster. In his mind, the moment Song Hudong shouted, "All right," he had already outlined the burning charcoal and recorded the temperature at that moment. Hold on, the quaking mountain black gold is separating. Chapter 144. In these few months of training, I have neglected the training of my body. If I have time, I must properly train. Tang Ao operated the mental cultivation method of iron and steel sand. Only then did his trembling slightly improve. Hold on a bit more, there is still one last bit. The closer it was to the end, the more Song Hudong was afraid that Tang Ao would screw up, so he kept spurring Tang Ao on. Old man, it's okay. I can still hold on for a bit longer. You continue. Tang Ao raised his head and gave Song Hudong a determined look. Okay. Let's start. Looking at the shiny black mountain quaking black gold that was only the size of a baby's fist, Tang Ao wanted to cry. I worked so hard to only make this little thing. Song Hudong played with the small piece of black gold and glared at Tang Ao. What do you think? It's only one basket and you're already this tired. You still have the nerve to say that you are in the origin realm. Tang Ao was once again speechless by this old guy. Originally, he pursued the realm and instant power too much and neglected the training of his body. That was why his strength could not last long. Although he had soaked in the spring before, it only stimulated the potential of Tang Ao's body, and he neglected to continue strengthening his body. Song Hudong seemed to have seen through Tang Ao's shortcomings and difficulties. Whatever. Could it be that there is such a person who suits my taste and cooperates quite well with me? Come with me, I'll show you something else. Following Song Hudong, Tang Ao walked around the workshop a few times and arrived outside of a simple and crude room. It was hard to believe that this was the residence of the famous blacksmith, Song Hudong. The entire workshop is quite grand. Why is your room so broken? You are too stingy. Tang Ao looked around indifferently and occasionally made a few sarcastic remarks. People, when they reach a certain level or a certain age, become indifferent to many things. As long as I have a place to hide, this old man will be satisfied. Song Hudong carried a pair of coarse hands behind his back, and said with a somewhat sorrowful sigh. Tang Ao inexplicably got goosebumps. Hey, don't be so emotional. What do you want me to see? Song Hudong rummaged through the cabinets and muttered, There's no reason. It should be here. After flipping this side, he flipped the other side. It should be here. Found it. Song Hudong took out a tattered scroll with a few pages rolled up at the corner and passed it to Tang Ao. This is a method of adjusting one's breath and exertion that I comprehended when I was forging it. It can maximize the use of every ounce of strength. This old man calls it the breath-holding formula. Let me show you first. These few days I'll smelt the black gold so you can also temper yourself. Thanks. This kind of good stuff should be taken out earlier. Tang Ao bluntly took the chi-holding formula and roughly flipped through it. The things that you taught me today, I feel that it's not bad. Then according to this principle, can I increase the strength of my attacks? It was a bold idea, or perhaps it was something that Song Hudong expected. You're smarter than I thought. That's right, this breath-holding formula uses yuan qi and circulates it along with the qi in the dantian. Depending on each person's situation, this old man has increased my strength by a total of 30,000 jin. Damn. 30,000 jin. Although it was within his expectations, he was still quite surprised. It's just that the process of training is very painful and requires enough patience. Once you relax, all your previous efforts will go to waste. You must be mentally prepared. Song Hudong stopped teasing Tang Ao and seriously warned Tang Ao. I know. Don't I still have you? I should be able to learn it very quickly. Then when are you going to smelt the remaining 9 baskets of black stones? Tang Ao held the secret manual and was a little impatient to start training. That will depend on you. If you're not in a hurry, it won't be a problem for you to leave it for 8 to 10 years. Song Hutong smiled. She really admired the young man's struggling appearance. That's it then, I'm going back to my room. Tang Ao simply said goodbye and hurriedly returned to the room that the disciples gave him. Diligent and eager to learn. This child's future is limitless. Looking at Tang Ao's back as he left, Song Hutong stroked his gray beard with a smile on his face. The earth eats people with the 5 grains, the sky eats people with the 6 qi. Therefore, the way of qi. Tang Ao hurriedly rushed back to his room and eagerly read and trained. So the dantian is not only used to store qi and transform it into spiritual qi, but it can also be used to penetrate the spirit and temper the body. As Tang Ao read deeper, a door to a new world opened to Tang Ao. There was spiritual qi in the world that was absorbed by cultivators and warriors and transformed into true qi, spiritual qi and gang qi that they needed through the dantian. However, there was also a portion of qi that was free and unrestrained. Because of the concealment of spiritual qi, it made people ignore its existence. And the breath-holding formula was such a cultivation method. It used qi to strengthen the body's functions, constantly challenging the self and surpassing the self. This was probably the reason why Song Hutong's eyes were so bright despite her age. Guide qi into the abdomen and sink it into the dantian. After trying a few times, Tang Ao quickly grasped the technique of guiding qi and circulating it. Imitating the breathing technique that Song Hutong taught him in the book, Tang Ao used his inner vision and discovered that a pale yellow qi was gradually sinking from his lungs and quickly settling in the dantian. Then, following his meridians, it flowed to his limbs and bones. Ah! Tang Ao felt a wave of comfort. The ecstasy that came from his bones made him unable to help but cry out. The tip of his tongue was stimulated and secreted a sweet saliva. With a spurt of energy, Tang Ao took advantage of the excitement and finished practicing the breath-holding formula in one night. The next morning, when the first ray of sunlight shone on Tang Ao's body, Tang Ao opened his eyes. Zheng! A sharp sound pierced through the air. 2 rays of light shot out from Tang Ao's eyes and blasted 2 small holes in the limestone ground in front of him. Success! The breath-holding formula is indeed powerful. In just one night, my physical strength has increased by another 10,000 jin. Tang Ao stood up, only to discover that he had grown a lot taller. He stretched his body, and his bones crackled with the sound of roaring bones. Another 10,000 jin of strength. Now, without using the heaven-moving meridian diagram, I can strike out with close to 60,000 jin of strength. I have a higher chance of winning in a duel. Tang Ao clenched his fists and his eyes were resolute. Young Master Tang, Master invites you. A disciple brought a message to invite Tang Ao. Tang Ao nodded and after tidying himself up, he followed the disciple into the inner hall. A girl stood behind Song Hutong. Her face was young and delicate, and when she saw Tang Ao, she actually blushed slightly. She was dressed in clothes as white as snow and looked as pure and holy as a fairy from the 9th heaven. Compared to when she was in the Bai clan village, she was less dignified and more gentle. Chapter 145. Lianxin greets benefactor. Bai Lianxin turned her body slightly and bowed to Tang Ao. Her actions were natural and graceful. Bai Lianxin's heart was already racing and her ears were already red. You're here. Did you have a safe journey? Tang Ao waved his hand and exchanged some pleasantries with her. He then turned to Song Hutong and went straight to the point. Old man, I'm done. You don't say, the breath-holding technique is quite useful. My strength has increased by almost 10,000 kilograms. As he spoke, Tang Ao stepped into the inner hall. Song Hutong now looked like a skinny old man, except for his pair of eyes that occasionally flashed with a hint of brilliance. That aura of fighting against the heavens and the earth disappeared just like that. Song Hudong looked at Tang Ao's surprised gaze and coughed a few times. With a hoarse voice, he said, "When the breath-holding technique is practiced to the extreme, you can change your appearance and voice at will. Compared to the increase of 10,000 kilograms of strength, this is more practical. It will save you a lot of trouble in the future." Tang Ao nodded in agreement and looked eager to try. "Then let's continue. I've been practicing for the whole night and want to test the result." "Alright. Let's go." Song Hudong ordered someone to help Bai Lianxin settle down and went to the small thatched cottage with Tang Ao. Compared to the day before, when Tang Ao circulated his breath-holding technique, his arms were moving very quickly. In a normal person's eyes, only a blur could be seen. Very soon, he reached a temperature that could melt black stones. The charcoal flames burned the crucible, and the bright red light of the fire illuminated the small cottage as if it was covered in magma. The surrounding temperature kept rising, and in a few minutes, it reached the point where it would dry up with just a sprinkle of water. After hundreds and thousands of times, Tang Ao was already sweating profusely. His eyes were almost blurred by the sweat. Although he had a secret manual that could lower his body temperature, it was just a cup of water on a burning cart of firewood. Tang Ao even wanted to use the ice crystal sword to freeze himself and enjoy the bone-chilling feeling. Alright. Soon, it was time for the quaking mountain black gold to come out. As soon as Tang Ao heard the word good, his muscles suddenly tightened. A glint flashed across his eyes as he recorded the shape of the flame in that instant. At the same time, his arms moved quickly and slowly, rhythmically pulling the bellows. Swoosh! Chi-la! Every time it was stirred, the huge box would emit a muffled hum, constantly blowing air into the blast furnace. Soon, a basket of black stones was smelted, and a piece of black gold that was slightly smaller than an adult's fist was extracted. "What do you think? How do you feel?" Song Hudong inquired about the condition of Tang Ao's body. At the same time, she poured another basket of black stones into the pot. "Compared to yesterday, your speed has increased by 3 to 4 times. Naturally, the speed of refining has also increased by a lot. I believe that within these 3 days, you should be able to completely refine all the quaking mountain black gold." Okay. Tang Ao didn't say anything else and started working hard. He treated it as a form of cultivation, training his body and patience. In the next 3 days, other than eating, drinking, and sleeping, Tang Ao spent all his time in Song Hudong's thatched hut, lowering his head and pulling the bellows. At the same time, he trained his control of primordial qi. After a few rounds, Tang Ao gradually changed his habit of using primordial qi sparingly. He precisely controlled every inch and every trace of primordial qi, no more, no less. At the same time, as his compatibility with the breathing-holding technique gradually increased, Tang Ao's physical strength increased by about 2,500 kilograms. Now, he didn't need any help. With just his physical strength, Tang Ao was almost invincible among those in the same realm, not to mention those mental cultivation techniques and life souls that could increase his strength. Bai Lianxin came a few times along the way to deliver some pastries and tea, but left in a hurry, afraid that she would disturb the two. "Kid, what do you think of our Xian'er?" Song Hudong asked Tang Ao's opinion of Xian'er with a strange expression. Tang Ao was fully immersed in the fire and didn't notice the meaning in Song Hudong's words. He said without thinking, "She's pretty good. Beautiful and capable. It's not easy to support a family all by yourself." "Yes. So, I plan to marry her to you. What do you think?" "Oh." 3 expressions appeared on Tang Ao's face in an instant, from confusion, to doubt, to panic. "Old man, you must be joking. I have a family. Marrying your granddaughter to me is asking for trouble. She's your granddaughter, don't push her into the fire pit. Fine, fine, fine. If you don't want to marry her, then don't. Look at how flustered you are. Song Hutong looked at Tang Ao in disdain. There's still one basket left today. After you're done, go get the Millennium Ice Spring at night. Okay. Hearing that it was the last basket, Tang Ao couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Although his strength had increased a lot in the past few days, this kind of high-intensity, high-pressure work made Tang Ao a lot more sensitive recently. Whenever he heard someone praising him, his hand would unconsciously twitch, constantly pulling and pushing. He couldn't even stop it. Pop! As the last piece of Quaking Mountain Black ore was extracted, Tang Ao and Bai Lianxin let out a deep breath. 10 baskets of Quaking Mountain Black ore only produced a quantity slightly larger than an adult's head. Looking at the 10 small pieces of Quaking Mountain Black ore, Tang Ao found it funny. After working so hard for the past few days, this is all? No. Although it's a small amount, this small piece contains the essence of Quaking Mountain Black Oregon. It's extremely heavy. If you don't have the strength of 10,000 kilograms, you won't even be able to lift the Quaking Mountain Black ore, not to mention brandishing it. So powerful! Tang Ao was shocked. He raised his hand to grab a piece, and it was indeed incomparably heavy. He had to use 2,000 to 3,000 kilograms of strength to grab a piece. Tang Ao suddenly remembered the first time he extracted the Quaking Mountain Black Oregon. Song Hutong casually picked it up and played with it in her hand. For the first time, Tang Ao felt that he couldn't see through the person in front of him. Alright. Prepare yourself, I'll tell you how to get the 1,000-year frigid spring in a while. Song Hutong pulled Tang Ao back from his reverie and shock. The frigid spring is underground? Where's the entrance? Tang Ao asked curiously. Just follow me. I'll tell you as we walk. Song Hutong called out. Seeing that Tang Ao was following, she continued. The frigid spring is in the well behind the workshop. Well? That's right. In a while, when you go down, you'll feel very cold. At this time, don't circulate your energy to resist. When you feel that you can't take it anymore and are about to freeze, circulate the breath-holding art that this old man taught you. This is the last step to increase your strength by 20,000 kilograms. This is a test of your endurance and ability to grasp the minute changes. At the bottom of the well, there's a door. After you enter, the 1,000-year frigid spring is inside. Be careful. Chapter 146. Tang Ao pushed open the heavily damaged door that was covered in thick moss. A dark and deep alley appeared in front of him. The alley was long and quiet, leading to an unknown place. As soon as he stepped in, a bone-piercing cold air hit him in the face. It was so cold that Tang Ao shivered. Just a moment ago, he was still smelting in full swing, but now, he felt cold from head to toe. Some parts of the alley were smooth, while some parts were rough. There were serious marks of chopping and axes. It was obvious that it was man-made. The rock wall at the entrance was slightly damp. As Tang Ao went deeper, some parts even froze. The further he went, the colder the temperature became. Tang Ao was so cold that his whole body was shivering. He cursed Song Hutong in his heart. This old bastard! Why didn't you tell me to wear more clothes earlier? I'll deal with you when I get out. Tang Ao let out a breath and rubbed his hands. He continued to move forward. The length of the alley was just like Tang Ao's first impression. It was very, very long. After walking for a few dozen steps, about 300 feet, Tang Ao's legs were trembling. He was shaking like an ante. His teeth were clattering against each other. His front teeth were almost knocked out. Song, old man Song. Shivering from the cold, Tang Ao could no longer feel the existence of any of his exposed senses. He started to speak incoherently. As he went deeper and deeper, Tang Ao had just exhaled a breath, and the small water droplets in his breath immediately froze. His eyebrows, beard, and even his hair were gradually covered with a layer of frost. As he went deeper and deeper, Tang Ao's legs started to not listen to him. He could only rely on his consciousness to keep moving forward. His arms were originally wrapped around his chest to keep warm. Now they were completely frozen together and could not be separated. Why haven't arrived yet? In front of him, there was still chaos. There was no light. Tang Ao's snot was almost hanging down to his chin. It was even frozen. Damn, old man, wait for me to come out. I will definitely teach you a good lesson. Tang Ao cursed Song Hutong's 18 generations in his heart. He wanted to cut him alive. I can't. If this went on, he would probably faint before he found it. Run, I have to run. Although his heart was urgently ordering his body to move, he couldn't. However, there was already a thick layer of frost on the surface. Without using essence chi, there was no way for him to break free. Tang Ao's speed was getting slower and slower. The ice shards on his feet were already 2 to 3 inches high. Every step he took required a lot of strength. Right now, Tang Ao's appearance could no longer be seen. He could only make out the silhouette of a person. In the distance, he was a walking ice sculpture. Alright. A shout abruptly woke up the drowsy Tang Ao. The vigorous and powerful voice penetrated the stone walls and reverberated back and forth, transmitting into the depths of the alley. Almost instinctively, Tang Ao's arms suddenly lit up with 2 pale yellow rays, and then he unconsciously pulled them back and forth. A trace of warmth gradually awakened Tang Ao's consciousness. He immediately activated the breath-holding formula, and the aura in his dantian kept rising and flowing to his limbs and bones. Crack! Crack! The thick layer of ice was scorched by the blazing heat and shattered into pieces. Some of the remaining ice shards were directly vaporized. Damn, old man. If I was a bit later, I reckon that you wouldn't be able to see such a genius like me. Tang Ao rubbed his numb face and quickened his pace as he walked into the depths of the alley. A small bright spot appeared in front of the alley. It was like a bright lamp that illuminated the path ahead. If it wasn't because that damn old man didn't allow me to use my movement technique, I would have arrived here long ago. Tang Ao mumbled a few words and then quickened his pace. A huge karst cave appeared in front of him. The ice shards on the ground were uprooted, and there were many icicles hanging down from the top. The icicles were as sharp as needles. Tang Ao was very careful with every step he took. He suppressed the warm aura back into his body, fearing that if he wasn't careful, a big hole would appear in his body. After taking a few more steps, a square platform that was 4 to 5 feet in size appeared in front of him. The platform was stacked up one after another. It was exquisite and translucent, and it emitted a warm light that illuminated this space. Climbing up the stairs, a square pool that was the size of a dining table appeared in front of Tang Ao's eyes. The pool reflected a faint light, and it was like a mirror. There was a long icicle on top of the pool, and a small drop of water was brewing on the tip of the icicle. As expected of the 1,000-year glacial spring, Tang Ao couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Although he circulated his cultivation technique, Tang Ao once again felt a trace of coldness, and the chi that he gathered using the breath-holding technique in his dantian was being consumed bit by bit. Very soon it would reach the bottom. This won't do. I have to hurry up. Tang Ao no longer hesitated, and he also didn't have the mood to admire the crystal scenery. He took out a large vat from his storage ring, and the chi in his dantian once again circulated at high speed. The speed of consumption instantly increased by 3 to 4 times, and it was almost reaching the bottom. Tang Ao grabbed the edge of the large vat and slowly lowered the vat. The depth of the pool was just enough to cover a large vat. When the vat was filled with water, Tang Ao used all his strength to lift it up, but he almost fell down. The large vat floated in the water a few times, and then gradually stabilized. My God, it's so heavy! The strength that Tang Ao casually lifted was at least 800 kilograms, if not 500 kilograms, but he couldn't even lift a vat that was filled with water. Tang Ao took out a 9-dragon jade cup, and lightly scooped a cup of water. The amount in his hand was heavy, and it was most likely not inferior to the black stone. Tang Ao didn't believe this. He stood on the edge of the square pool and lowered his center of gravity. The pale yellow gas protected his hands, and he reached deep into the bone-chilling spring water to grab the edge of the large vat. 30,000 kilograms of strength. The large vat gradually rose, and after rising a certain distance, Tang Ao once again felt heavy and powerless. 40,000 kilograms. The large vat began to move up again, and the water line gradually lowered. It was just about to leave the water, but it was powerless again. 50,000 kilograms. The large vat completely left the spring water, and the water level of the entire pool instantly dropped by about half. My God! 50,000 kilograms. Fortunately, Old Man Song helped me refine my body. Tang Ao suddenly threw the large vat up, and used his divine sense to catch the large vat, and sent it back into the storage ring. Phew! After doing this, Tang Ao let out a long sigh of relief, and immediately sat down cross-legged to adjust his breathing. There was still a ridiculously long alleyway to go, and if he didn't rest well, he was afraid that he would die here today. When I get back, I must properly settle accounts with Old Man Song. That old bastard actually dared to trick me. Tang Ao silently cursed, and his figure repeatedly leaped, and arrived on the ground. The cold spring water was less than half, and the temperature was also a lot warmer. Old bastard, you almost caused this sovereign to die. As soon as he saw Song Hutong, Tang Ao became angry. You have to properly compensate this sovereign. Just give me 7 or 8 spirit treasures, and this sovereign will forgive you. Chapter 147. Right now, Song Hutong no longer looked like a master. She started bickering with Tang Ao. Alright, let's not talk anymore. The cold spring is here. Hurry up. Let me remind you one more time. The bow you want to make is not an ordinary one. It will cause the spiritual energy of the heaven and earth to rumble. When that happens, there might be a God's tribulation. You have to be mentally prepared. Song Hutong reminded him seriously. There's a God's tribulation? Tang Ao was a little surprised. He didn't think there would be so many problems when he wanted to make a bow. That's right. When a God weapon descends into the world, it must absorb a lot of spiritual energy from the surroundings. When it reaches a certain level, it will resonate with the Tao of heaven and earth. At the same time, it will be baptized by the God's tribulation. If the transformation is successful, it will become a real God weapon. If it fails, all of our previous efforts will be wasted. It will become an advanced God weapon or even be blasted into dust by the God's tribulation. So you have to be mentally prepared. If the God's tribulation is over, all of our previous efforts will be wasted. Then will there be a God's tribulation when I train? Tang Ao asked. Of course there will be. According to the ancient books, as long as a person's strength reaches a level where he can resonate with the Tao of heaven and earth, he will be able to attract a God's tribulation. Song Hutong recalled and told Tang Ao everything she knew. Resonate with the Tao of heaven and earth? That's still too far away. What do I need to prepare for refining later? Tang Ao threw aside all distracting thoughts and asked. Later, when I'm forging, you just need to protect me and take care of the odd jobs. I'll handle the hammer. You don't have to worry. At this moment, Song Hutong's aura was sharp. She had an irresistible aura. Her demeanor of a master had once again descended. Song Hutong first ordered her disciples to carry out 8 boxes of orange life stones and buried them in 8 corners of the workshop. Then, she took out a strangely shaped hammer. The hammer's horn was black and had the size of a head and a small body. On its surface there were some golden veins that looked like some kind of script. "This is my treasure, the eight-faced mountain Zhen hammer. All the god weapons that made me famous were made with this hammer." As Song Hutong spoke, she caressed De Chue's body as if she was caressing a lover. Her eyes were filled with love and memories of the past. "Go and control the fire first. Don't make it too hot. It's fine as long as it can burn the black gold red," Song Hutong instructed. Tang Ao did not say anything else. He obediently squatted down beside the boiler and began to circulate the breath, holding formula in a practiced manner. He pulled the bellows back and forth, and soon the boiler was burning with flames. Song Hutong called another 2 disciples over, and the 3 of them held a sledgehammer and stared at the blazing black gold in the boiler. The light from the fire was reflected in the trio's eyes, and it was as if their fighting spirit had been ignited. The palms of the 2 disciples, who were holding the hammers, were sweating from time to time. To these 2 young refiners, being able to participate in the forging of a divine artifact was something that they could brag about for the rest of their lives. Under everyone's fiery gazes, the pitch-black surface of the black gold began to turn bright red. After being pushed and pulled by Tang Ao dozens of times, it finally became as incandescent as the sun. "All right, hammer," Song Hutong ordered. She took out 2 of the larger pieces from the 10 and placed them on the anvil. One of the disciples clamped the black gold, and Song Hutong and the other disciple looked for an opportunity to hammer the black gold. Ding ding dang dang! The hammering sounds rose and fell, sometimes slow, sometimes fast like a drizzle and then a downpour, sometimes light, sometimes heavy like the smoke signal and the battle spear. Under the hammering like a storm, the black gold became even purer, and the impurities continuously turned into sparks. The shape of the black gold also gradually changed from a round block to a deformed shape. Song Hutong had told Tang Ao about the forging process of the bow, disassembling and forging each part, and finally, forging them together again could save time and avoid some unnecessary troubles. Tang Ao had the time to look at the master and disciples trampling on the black gold, as if they were kneading clay figurines. They were dumbfounded as they forged the black gold into the shape they wanted. "This shape, it looks like the part that holds the bow." Tang Ao took out the tiger bone flood dragon bow that he had exchanged his contribution points for, and compared it with the model that was gradually taking shape in front of him. The tiger bone flood dragon bow was only a spiritual treasure level bow, which could withstand up to 30,000 genes of force. But to burst out the power of the sun shooting arrow spirit, it needed at least 50,000 genes of force. Otherwise, the sun shooting arrow spirit would just be a toy, and its deterrent power would be less than 1/10 of its full power. It could only be used to beat small birds, and occasionally scare people. Huh! Tang Ao was attracted by the way Song Hutong and her disciple wielded the hammer. The sledgehammer drew a circular arc in the air, and then accurately hit the black gold. So that's how it is, they use the strength of their waist to drive the sledgehammer, and then throw it in an arc to offset the remaining force of the sledgehammer, while at the same time accumulating strength to hit. After imitating it a few times, Tang Ao gradually gained some insight. Both the axe and the hammer are heavy weapons that can break through the defense, so using the hammer, I can also use the axe. Immediately, Tang Ao revealed the world-dominating axe spirit, and without injecting any yuan qi, he simply swung it in the air. At the same time, he imitated Song Hutong and her disciple, and used his waist to exert strength. After increasing the temperature of the stove, Tang Ao once again practiced. It looked easy, but it was difficult to do. The axe was cumbersome, and when he swung it, his center of gravity would be affected, and his body would inevitably sway along with it. Moreover, the trajectory would be awkward, and it would be extremely difficult to swing the axe. After trying a few times, Tang Ao slowly grasped the main points, and the trajectory of the axe became more smooth. His body's movements also became more coordinated, and he exerted strength from his waist to forcefully swing the axe. His lower body was stable, as if it was rooted, and as the speed of the axe increased, it also brought about an increase in strength. After spinning a few dozen times, Tang Ao roughly estimated that if he swung the axe, he would not need to use the 9-layered wave axe and the heaven-moving meridian diagram. Just by relying on his body, he would be able to reach the strength of 80,000 genes, which was the power of 4 elemental forces. 365 elements, there are indeed many ways, and I need to use my heart to comprehend them. It is not something that can be experienced by sitting on a dry mountain. No wonder the elites of the Dragon and Phoenix rankings all like to travel in the secular world. Traveling 10,000 miles is like reading 10,000 books. Tang Ao sighed with emotion, and secretly planned to continue traveling in the secular world after he was done with the inner sect examination. While pondering, Song Hutong and the other two had already finished forging the grip, which was an important part of the bow, and took out a fist-sized piece of black gold to forge. Under the heavy hammer strikes that were as dense as raindrops, the black gold was stretched into a long strip. One end was thick and the other end was thin. It was the two parts of the bow that exerted strength. Tang Ao continued to squat by the stove, and continuously blew air to add charcoal, and controlled the temperature of the pot. At the same time, he carefully observed the way Song Hutong and her disciple moved the hammer, and perfected his own understanding. Chapter 148. Song Hutong appeared to be forging, but he was actually very aware of his surroundings. He had also seen Tang Ao practicing martial arts. While he was secretly impressed by Tang Ao's talent, he didn't forget to warn him. Tang Ao was shocked once again. Song Hutong actually knew of the 7 kill sect's legendary technique. It made Tang Ao feel that he couldn't see through the old man in front of him. He was a grandmaster in the eyes of outsiders, but an old urchin in his eyes. The master and disciples exchanged hands and rested for a while. After hammering a few thousand times, they finished forging the other component. The clanging sounds continued until late into the night. After the last small part of the string was completed, Song Hutong let out a long sigh of relief. Faint yellow light flowed on the skin of her naked upper body. The breathing-holding technique came into play, helping Song Hutong recuperate her tired muscles. It's already late. If the bow were to attract the tribulation now, I'm afraid there would be quite a bit of trouble. Take a rest first. I'll have to trouble you to keep watch tonight and maintain the furnace's temperature. Song Hutong wiped his sweat. Move the furnace outside tomorrow. We want to use the sun essence fire to transcend the tribulation to form the bow. Yes. Tang Ao didn't dare to be negligent. Seeing that his divine bow was about to take shape, he allowed Song Hutong to command him. He wouldn't say anything if Song Hutong said so. The moon was high in the sky. As Tang Ao looked at the furnace, he flipped through the 7 kill slaughtering art. The last time he flipped through it, he had inadvertently advanced his sword Dao. This time, he combined the 7 weapon life souls and flipped through it. At the same time, he summoned the 7 weapon life souls: spear, sword, saber, axe, arrow, and rope. As he fiddled with them, he compared them. So I can use it alone against 7 people. Furthermore, the strength doesn't decrease. However, it's extremely draining of primordial energy. With Tang Ao's current cultivation level and primordial energy, he would probably need to lie down for several days to recover after using this move. I still have to constantly raise my cultivation level. Senior brother Fuyang used it several times to save me. He forced Chu Wentian to retreat and flee. Tang Ao, who was well aware of the flaws in his execution, practiced the 7 kill massacre art and closed his eyes to enter a meditative state. The sun rose from the east. Today's sun was exceptionally bright. Tang Ao opened his eyes and ate some of the breakfast that Bai Lianxin had brought over. After circulating his energy for a while, he moved the large smelting furnace and anvil from the small thatched cottage to the center of the courtyard. Song Hudong arrived just in time, and 2 disciples followed closely behind her, carrying a long and narrow box. Today is the last day and also the most important day. No one could relax for even the slightest bit. Otherwise, all their previous efforts would go to waste. Let's start. The earlier we finish, the better. As long as we wait until noon, we can collect the sun essence fire, Song Hutong warned with a stern face. Tang Ao suppressed the excitement in his heart. As usual, he desperately raised the fire, while Song Hutong and the others took out their sledgehammers and kept hammering. Now that the 5 major components had been forged, they only needed to be calcined again, pieced together, and hammered repeatedly. Then, they would connect the dragon tendons to the strings, and after being tempered by the lightning and fire heavenly tribulation, the forging process would be complete. The sun grew brighter, and the surrounding temperature increased. Although it was already autumn, Tang Ao and the others were still sweating profusely. This had become a common occurrence for the past few days. As the bow was pieced together step by step, dark clouds gradually gathered in the sunny sky. It felt like a large stone was pressing down on one's chest, and it was suffocating. When the third part was pieced together, more and more dark clouds gathered, and the sky grew darker and darker. Occasionally, there would be the sound of rolling thunder. All of this was happening in the sky above the workshop's courtyard. The rest of Jade Hill Village was still sunny. The unusual sounds and sights had already alarmed the passers-by and merchants of Jade Hill Village. What's that? Why is there such a sight? It seems to be coming from the direction of Grandmaster Song's workshop. Grandmaster Song must be forging some amazing divine weapon again. There's a worldly anomaly, so it must be a divine weapon at the level of a spirit treasure or higher. Could it be an immortal weapon? The dark clouds grew thicker and thicker, covering the entire workshop in darkness. At this time, the bow had already been pieced together into 4 parts. All that was left was the small end for the bowstring. Rumble! A sudden clap of thunder sounded from within the dark clouds, giving Tang Ao and the others a fright. It's fine. The divine bow is about to be completed, and the lightning tribulation is brewing. This means that the divine weapon we're forging will definitely be of unprecedented quality, Song Hutong said calmly. She was in control of the situation and calmed everyone down. It's the last part. Everyone, do your best, Song Hutong shouted. She raised the hammer and hammered it again. The 5th component fused with the bow bit by bit. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A gust of wind blew out of nowhere, sweeping up clouds of yellow sand and dust. It was so strong that everyone couldn't open their eyes. The wind caused the flames in the furnace to flicker. If it wasn't for Tang Ao protecting the furnace against the wind, the flames inside the furnace would have been extinguished. 300 more strikes. Everyone, put in more effort. Song Hudong's deep voice passed through the sandstorm and calmed everyone down. Everyone did their best to resist the crazy attack. Ignoring the rumbling thunder in the sky, they raised their hammers and hammered the last 300 times. The bow was successfully completed. Crackle! A bolt of lightning whizzed past, striking straight at Tang Ao and the others. Watch out! Someone shouted, and Tang Ao and the others hurriedly dodged. Boom! The lightning split open a large hole in the ground, and the scattered electric snakes scorched the ground black. Tang Ao, who had luckily escaped the disaster, looked at the hole in the ground in horror. His heart, which had been trained several times, was beating wildly. Take the dragon string, attach it and form the bow. Song Hudong's voice was hoarse as he directed the 2 to pass the dragon tendon over. Rumble! The gloomy sky once again rumbled with Lei Ming. The dark clouds gradually pressed down, and the layers of swirling air gradually converged. With the small courtyard as the center, there were signs of forming a storm vortex. Song Hutong turned a deaf ear to the sudden appearance of a strange phenomenon. With one hand holding the dragon tendon and the other holding the bow, he muttered an incantation and suddenly shouted, "With the heaven and earth as the beginning, all living things shall live. Bow, form." As soon as the dragon tendon wrapped around the bow, a blazing ray of light soared into the sky like a blazing flame and immediately dispersed the forming storm. The light didn't stop for a long time, as if it wanted to break through the layers of tribulation clouds in the sky again. Kacha! A bolt of lightning as thick as the mouth of a well rapidly arrived and dispersed the soaring light emitted by the godly bow. Come on, you have to hold on." Tang Ao nervously looked at the tribulation clouds in the sky. His tightly clenched palms were covered in cold sweat. Buzz! Chapter 149. Heaven and Earth Phenomenon, the Resonance of the Great Tao. Song Hutong's old face flushed with excitement. "It's a divine artifact. It was a divine artifact. Ha 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 ha. Old man Song, don't be too happy. We haven't overcome this lightning tribulation yet." Tang Ao looked at the dark clouds in the sky, feeling nervous and excited. Kacha! A red bolt of lightning as thick as a pillar whizzed down and struck the godly bow, bringing with it an aura of destruction and a pressure that could topple mountains and overturn seas. The godly bow flew around the courtyard as if it had a mind of its own. Then, the bow's golden light shone brightly. F. The dragon's head took a solid hit, and the dragon's shadow dimmed a lot. Even the light on the divine bow dimmed. Tang Ao and the others were stunned, especially Song Hutong. She was so shocked that she couldn't speak. Song Hutong found that dragon tendon in an ancient ruin. She didn't expect it to contain a trace of a true dragon's soul. Now that it sensed danger, it instinctively manifested a true dragon shadow in the midst of the lightning tribulation to resist the heavenly tribulation. "Little Tang, quick, drip 9 drops of your blood essence onto the divine bow and let the golden dragon recognize you as its master," Song Hutong hastily shouted. Upon receiving the order, Tang Ao activated the mysterious centipede kick and leaped into the air. At the same time, he released his vital energy to drag his body and slowly flew to the front of the divine bow that was suspended in the air. He suddenly bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood. Sizzle! The moment the blood arrow touched the bow, it completely fused into it. For a moment, the monstrous golden radiance on the godly bow and the golden dragon's shadow that circled around it gradually turned pale red. Suddenly, the golden dragon no longer flew around in a frenzy, and the golden light of the divine bow also gradually dissipated. Tang Ao immediately felt that his senses had been extended by a lot, and he could vaguely feel the addition of a bow-shaped sensory area. Song Hutong seemed to have seen through his doubts. "This is a blood bond. Now, this sun-shooting bow is a part of your body, connected by blood. Your fates are now intertwined. This way, the success rate of the divine bow's tribulation will greatly increase. Whether it's an ordinary bow or a divine bow, it all depends on your luck. The lightning tribulation is coming, get ready." Tang Ao had just established a bloodline connection with the divine bow, but before he could rejoice, a monstrous pressure came from above the dark clouds. It was no less than the pressure his spirit had experienced in the 16th layer of heaven. Boom! At the bottom of the dark clouds, lightning flashed once again, and orange light flashed from time to time. A new lightning tribulation was brewing. "Little Tang, there are 7 levels of lightning tribulations. You've already passed 1 red lightning tribulation. There are 6 more to go. You must survive these 6. Song Hudong cheered for Tang Ao from below. If you really can't do it, I'll activate the cosmic octagonal array to help you transcend the tribulation. Holy shit. You tricked me again. Tang Ao laughed and scolded. Fine. With your words, this honorable one can rest assured. Let this honorable one see the power of the lightning tribulation. The orange lightning tribulation seemed to feel Tang Ao's blatant provocation. As soon as the voice fell, it immediately arrived. Tang Ao almost didn't have any time to react. He was immediately struck by the lightning, charred on the outside and tender on the inside. His hair stood on end. Little Tang, can you do it? It's only the second lightning and you're already like this. Seeing this, Song Hutong changed from a kind and amiable old man to a shrew standing on the street. She pointed at Tang Ao and scolded, "You little brat, aren't you usually very good at bragging? You keep saying this honorable one. It's only the second lightning tribulation and you're already like a roasted suckling pig. Don't you feel ashamed? If this old one were you, he would have bought a piece of tofu and killed himself in a corner. That way, he wouldn't live in this world as a disgrace." Shut up, you old fart. This honorable one wasn't prepared just now. Tang Ao was extremely annoyed by the scolding. He immediately activated the iron steel sand. A layer of black granular substance seeped out from the surface of his body and covered his entire body. Even his handsome face was covered with a layer of iron granular substance. You still call yourself this honorable one? If you can't handle this third lightning tribulation, the Chisha clan's face will be completely lost because of you. Song Hutong continued to speak sarcastically. Crackle! The third yellow lightning tribulation suddenly flashed and broke through the layers of air. It was like a hot knife cutting through butter, and the pressure was like an avalanche. Ha! Tang Ao suddenly shouted and used his arms to block the attack above his head. He collided with the yellow lightning directly. Rip! A shadow barrier surrounded Tang Ao's body. The yellow lightning snakes instantly crawled all over the barrier, including Tang Ao. The lightning snakes were connected head to tail, forming a huge net. Break! There was an explosion. Tang Ao contracted his essence chi and suddenly exploded, dispersing the lightning snake net that wrapped around him. Old fart, how is this one? What are you so proud of? This is only the third lightning tribulation. There are still 4 more lightning tribulations. This old man wants to see how long you can be proud of yourself. Song Hudong still had a sarcastic look on her face, causing Tang Ao to clench his teeth in anger. Old fart, wait for me to come down. This honorable one will settle the score with you. Tang Ao's divine will cut off the feeling of his own senses. He focused his mind and body, preparing to deal with the lightning tribulation test that could break out at any time. Song Hudong scolded for a while. Seeing that Tang Ao didn't have any reaction, she also stopped. The reason why she did this was to arouse Tang Ao's fighting spirit. Under the lightning tribulation, it wasn't enough to just have monstrous strength. He also needed to have an unyielding will to face the lightning tribulation and challenge it. As expected, Tang Ao, who closed his senses, was able to handle the next 3 lightning tribulations with ease. The last lightning tribulation was brewing in the dark clouds. It was reluctant to strike down. Even Tang Ao couldn't help it. He wanted to let out a sigh of relief. But when he thought that if he wasn't careful, he would be struck by the lightning tribulation, Tang Ao felt a chill in his heart. The dark clouds in the sky were no longer as thick as before. Some of the clouds at the edge had begun to dissipate with the wind. Song Hutong didn't feel at ease. She used her divine sense to probe the situation inside the dark clouds, but it was all in a blur. It's probably gone. A disciple guessed. Impossible. The lightning tribulation has 7 colors. This is the lightning tribulation that all divine weapons or cultivators have to go through. There won't be one more or one less. Unless. Song Hudong thought of the most impossible possibility and felt a chill. Tang Ao regained his senses. He looked at Song Hutong and the others below. He waved his hand and said, "Are you done? Be careful!" Song Hutong hurriedly shouted. Her figure almost rushed out. "Open the array." Tang Ao didn't have time to react. Gotcha! The last bolt of purple lightning struck down. It was so thick that it would take 4 to 5 people to wrap their arms around it. It headed straight for Tang Ao. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.